we normally see him play a lot of D.Va, which has been a surprise that we haven't seen D.Va that much throughout either of our games so far tonight.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. It's been insanity to kind of witness in this instance right here as we're getting another one rocking and rolling over here. No one down quite yet, but Talisman does have a pulse arm ready to go, waiting for the right target to be able to go in on. But for the time being, it hasn't quite found the appropriate target. Now, a lot of ultimates about to be online for both teams right here. Pulse bomb thrown out, going to miss, but Chain is down. Opportunity here for Argentina to pop back in this one. Arsona, though, is going to let loose in this one right here as they're trying to clear out some bodies. And with Arsona being given all the heals in the world, it feels like Amel time is using a 3v4. In fact, they are tripling down in this fight, trying to make it happen, but they are still barely holding on.
Woo!
Oh my god.
Ooh, that is a shot right there from Oracle, and especially for Argentina, you need that kind of shot to give you a boost here to continue forward now, especially as you're already down 41 meters. If you lose a fight here, you probably give up those 4 checkpoints, but now you're back on the cart. Yeah, the beat from DM, probably want to hold on to it, but you use at a really good time. Chain beat now. You have to be looking at essentially to cancel out this or to the response to this grab from Tizzy, but you're looking for Oracle, you're looking for Saxon Hale to find something here early for Argentina to get them rolling.
100%. Now we keep rolling into this next one already. You see things falling apart for both squads. Both Baptistes being gone already, but it's Tizzy who's helping a little bit more with that cleanup. And while Talisman and Arsona are still alive, it's really going to be tough to pull this one back.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. They're just going to have to kind of fall back, give up some space here, but they're going to contest for a little bit, but you still look over now at Argentina. They have the grab, but Chain holding on that beat for, like I said, just to probably use it to try to negate whatever the grab catches them, whoever they get caught in the grab with. Tizzy, though, getting set up. I don't necessarily like this play from him because it could backfire on them easily.
Oh, no, 100% it could. We'll see whether that is the case or not. Sound barrier is available for Chain, not for DM, though. So this is going to make things very interesting right now. Tizzy having that grab ready to go. Chain's going to have a very immediate response. But right now, Tizzy, you see, is just praying that someone is going to follow up right here. Cut down comes through, and Smack's going to be able to stay alive. Just lose out on the Immortality field. His lead is moments from being given up right here as Graviton Surge pulled in. Gets 2 pulled in. Only 1 will go down, though, as it is now a fight to try to burn through the remnants of the squad right here as the lead does go over to Argentina. But Dex, this is such a back-and-forth struggle in affair between these squads right now. And it is Puerto Rico desperately trying to hold on here as Arsona tries to track down the bodies to go ahead and pop out. Oh my gosh. And Arsona realistically shouldn't live here.
They shouldn't, but they're gonna have to at least try to stall out the bot here. They barely do before the 4 checkpoints get in control, and that's a huge pick. But now Arsenal will fall. However, you have the long walk back from everyone for Argentina, but just Oracle and this DPS line and this tank line now for Argentina, almost deadlifting their team forward here. Now they have these checkpoints. Under one thing, I'm gonna have to quickly fix the 3rd game scoreboards that we're doing.
No, you're chill. No, we can talk about this. That's when you do your thing. You go big chill, sir. We love to see it at the end of the day. But no, we're looking at this X-Fight right now. Half the time is gone already. Big lead coming up here for Argentina into this next fight. Having to beat online, very important, but there is a lot about to be online here for Puerto Rico as well. Between the pulse on the overclocks right on board, you're going to be able to make some things with the amplification matrix as well. There's a lot to work with right here, but it still needs to be utilized correctly, and you're hoping to bury someone away like Saxon Hale. As you see, the bubbles are gone. Tizzy could be caught, and Pulse Bomb is just going to skyrocket to the left, unfortunately. It is going to get them a little bit of space to work with right here, but now it's going to be down to Mid-Chicken to make this fight their own. Overclock is now available. Oracle letting it loose first and foremost, trying to make some room and go through. Saxon Hale, though, suffered as the first casualty right here as Talisman very gutsy right there, going that aggressively right now. But you see how much the door has opened up for them to try to move forward, but the beat is used to just to steam them through it a little while longer, give themselves a chance to bring this fight back their way. And Dex, as we're kind of watching this proceed onward, Robinson Surge is ready. Chain is right around the corner from having this beat. It's not going to matter as, hi, hello, how you doing?
Other series is starting.
That's absolutely insane. Oh, it is. What do we do? What's the choice?
We have that stuff ready to go. Let's just go over to that one.
All right, gang. This is great. No, I hate doing this. I really do. But that's going bye-bye. we're headed over here instead, as we are simply going to have to be quiet that one up. Hunter has to make changes over on the fly. I'm making sure everything's correctly, but it should be correct. So, Dex, let's take a look at what we're seeing right now.
So no big differences for Chile coming into this game here. Same kind of comp same exact comp they played the series against Costa Rica. Now Peru coming in. They have that data. They were able to watch it a little bit. You have to imagine, but it's gonna be key coming out here on the junk queen. I do like that here for them. It's gonna be able to provide a little bit more pressure on the Frack, especially if they land the knife on them, pull them back. It's gonna stop a lot of them. But looks like Chile gonna get the first cap here.
Yep, 100% right here, as obviously cleaning this one up and around. A little bit of jumping around today, but hey, we don't hate at the end of the day. We take what we can, ultimately. But, Dex, we're still in sync, right? You know, that'd be nice.
What are you at?
Where are you at, good sir?
18. What are you at?
I'm currently at a good old 24. 25.
I'm at 24. Yep.
Oh, great. We're solid,
okay.
gang.
Yeah, but Peru coming back into this one here again. Like I said, they had that first match to watch for Chile to play. They knew what they were expecting here, so you have to be looking at them here. Persona and Martian, I think they're gonna have themselves a tough time tonight. That's huge. Susie gonna be able to keep Frack alive here, but they actually might just give it the point flip for free. But no, Chile gonna be able to hold on to it for a while, allowing Frack to heal back up before they make their dive.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see how things kind of proceed moving forward in this one right here, as already 50% on the board. Key, nice elimination here, and it's going to potentially shut this fight down. You have a lot coming up on board, like the Pulse Bomb, like the Consumer Rush, but I don't think you're going to have an opportunity to really use it here, as it feels like you need to try to surrender this point with Bert down. Yeah, we are just in the stall game at this point. A little bit more coming through from Eli, who honestly gets some really good stall in, but 64% is all that remains here. And honestly, again, good sequences. Oh no, FX!
And Frack, both falling right there. That's exactly what you were looking for if you're Peru. Did not get the start that you were necessarily wanting, but you will gladly take it. And hey, for the cost of a Pulse Bomb, you are fine with that. Tracer's can build up ultimates pretty quickly here, but you look over now at Chile. They have Kitsune. They have their own Pulse Bomb, but you look over back now at Peru. Kitsu, Rampage, the Overclock as well. I mean, the Suzu's going to come out pretty early if that Rampage comes out, so you know once that's out, your teammate's going to be able to go in. But hey, you don't even need to use the Rampage, as you already lose Frack right now if you're Chile.
Oh yeah, no, 100% puts you in a good position right here. Fight doesn't even properly begin. And the biggest thing right here is LCS needs to get the speed up online, because if he hits this Overclock, or not this Overclock, this Rampage straight up, boy, is there going to be no coming back from that.
It's going to be really rough, and now you're seeing Peru kind of evening out the scoreboard here with two good fights. But this was one thing we talked about last series. Chile never lost 2 fights in a row. Well, guess what? They've lost 2 fights in a row, and they're already looking to be losing 3 fights as they lose Eli pretty early on. Bert's Overclock just not finding anything, and now you're seeing everything be invested here by Chile.
Yeah, and now he down, actually, by the way. This could be big, but big shot from Persona. Even though they do not go down, I think it's going to be enough here. It's just Eli and LCS hanging about. Pulse Bomb is thrown into the ether and just finds nothing.
Yeah,
it's already fixed. It's already fixed. Yeah, it's already fixed.
Yeah, but right now, I mean, that was a perfect fight, I think, if you're Peru there. You got out of 3 ultimates from the other, actually 4 ultimates from the other side, and look, you're still holding on to the Rampage. You have a beat back. You have a Pulse Bomb back. You are in the driver's seat. You cannot mess up this fight.
No, you absolutely cannot right here. Beat going to be used to try to stay within this situation right here. We're still in the 5v5, but it's Frack who needs to find somebody in this scenario. Right now, you're fine, because right now, Frack's going on the run right now. Doesn't get it. They barely touch in time, but I don't think it's going to matter one little bit. As Martian's gotten rid of 3. FX, a little bit of solo kill. Martian gets the 4th. Doing they get the 5th. Key will take it away, but you're more than happy. 100-64 here to get things going for Peru, off to a really good start.
It's off to a great start. Honestly, if you're Peru, you love this. You really love this. And especially how Chile played that first series. I mean, they looked almost unstoppable playing this exact same comp. Now you're starting to see a little bit more pressure coming out from Martian. They're finding pick after pick, really giving the backline a lot of problems. And I mean, look, I don't think we saw this many deaths from Chile last series at all. Fix, Martian haven't died just yet. And for Martian playing that Tracer, how aggressive they are, it's insane they haven't died. But this support line as well, Uber Eats and Fix are doing everything that this team really needs to do. And look, Frack, getting off of it now, getting off the Winston on this map, going over to the Zarya instead. Are we going to see Eli potentially swap off over to maybe something like that Vendetta to kind of play into that combo, or are they going to go right back over to the Tracer? Looks like it's going to be the Tracer, but outside of that, no big swaps. So, Uber Eats?
Buddy, please don't do this. Don't do this to us. It's going to eventually get back, and the funniest part is it doesn't really matter because the cleanup comes through anyway. That is a quick fight already done and dusted. Eli, the only survivor currently, as Peru should have no trouble taking this point.
And if you're Peru, I mean, you are now kind of like scratching your head saying, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong here? Because it just seems like this Jungle Queen's just giving everything to, I mean, if you're Chile, you're asking what you're doing wrong. This Jungle Queen for Peru is doing everything right. It's providing pressure. Martian's playing so in sync with them. It's making it very hard for anyone on Chile to get anything going here. And Eli, who had an incredible first series, is just kind of going quiet at the moment.
Yeah, very much is going quiet. So we'll see what we kind of get into this next fight right here, as you're really struggling to find a little something right here if you are Chile. Momentum to get back over on the right track. At least for now, you need to try to find that opening pick. Get yourself in a good position, but already Eli, I believe, had to use the recall just then to be able to stay alive. Is just getting massively pressured by Martian as Persona gonna get that first elim over onto LCS. Martian looking to just keep making space, but at this point, everyone's already gotten out.
Everyone's gone out, and I mean, this next fight for Chile could be map deciding, really, because you look at them here already nearing 50% on that point. You have really no ultimates coming up to this fight for Chile. You're going to have Pulse Bomb from Martian, and Vix could have Kitsune Rush. This could be a pretty early investment here from Peru here, but still, Chile, I think they're just playing a little bit too split at the moment. They need to try to play as a team. They need to have someone find a pick, but so far, Eli, who was able to do that last series a lot, just hasn't been able to do anything. Uber would have been a huge pick, but you don't find the kill.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb comes out as Martian finds nothing, loses their life 4 right there. Excellent knife right there, though, to bring this fight back a little bit more. Persona right around the corner from having this overclock as well is so valuable. Frack, he's getting highly pressured. He's eventually going to stay alive here as Kitsune Rush has been used here by Fix. Big pull again onto Frack, and now everyone needs to run and duck for cover. They need to have a retouch alive.
Are the touch. Eli is still back there with you, so someone's gonna have to get a touch here, but you are coming up the ultimates right now if you are Chile. You just have to make sure to go into overtime. But the other side, you have a beat, you have a pulse bomb, you have a rampage. Eli's gonna be the touch here. Overtime will happen. Bert, though, gonna try to get something here with this overclock as the Kitsune comes out, but LCS falls.
Yeah, we went out of sync there for a moment. Everything went back in sync. Love to see it. And yeah, you said it yourself right there. It is a bit of that back and forth, but Key is going to barrage forward, try to clear some bodies, but Bert getting rid of one of their own keeps this thing going. Frack is also going to have the Graviton Surge ready, pulls in 2 members, and they're going to burn on down. It took everything in the kitchen sink, but they're going to be able to take this point back.
Tell me when you're at 5%.
Wow. I mean, Dex, I don't know. Yeah, but I say that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, right now, LCS, they have a beat. That's going to be huge for them coming into this next fight. But you look at Martian has a Pulse Bomb. Uber Eats has their own beat. This is going to be very difficult, I think, for Chile to kind of keep control of this one. They need to have a couple good fights in a row. This has been not the start they are looking for here. And Peru has really, I think, surprised them, caught them off guard. They're playing this very aggressive comp. And we talked about Chile being a team that loves to play aggressively. It seems they can't deal when it gets dished out to them. Pulse Bomb, though, I think does stick, but I believe FX Suzu's them to keep them alive.
Yeah, but beat used later for LCS is going to make a little bit more space. There is still a Pulse Bomb alive as Key is just getting taken down, and everyone going to subsequently fall. Bert is getting pressured, will eventually fall, but it will not be enough as Fix, last one remaining, will go down. And now this has been the turnaround for Team Chile in a much better condition. Dex, are we out of sync, or are we chilled?
What percentage are you at?
53.
Okay, I'm a little bit else. Tell me where you're at now.
I'm at 59. 60.
Okay, we're good.
All right,
we're good.
Cool, great, all right, lovely. Oh,
Persona almost falling there early. Would have been huge for Chile. And FX, I understand you were getting some charge there, but I don't necessarily like those plays, especially with your Kiri. Now though, neither team really has an ultimate. Fix does have their Kitsune Rush ready to go, but you lose Martian beforehand.
Yeah, and that's rough. And now Kitsune Rush is out in the 4v5. You can surrender the point maybe momentarily right now, but you cannot afford to lose somebody. FX would be the worst case scenario right now with that Kitsune Rush right around the corner. Having it could be considered a potential insta-win right there, but you see I believe someone almost fell down the hole, ended up getting out in that situation. But now we're going into the final fight. This is going to decide whether or not we're going to end things at City Center, or whether or not we could see a big start here going for Peru. But it's 99.99. Kitsune Rush is available. You are getting closer and closer for your persona. Martian.
No one touches! No! What do you mean? No. We are not seeing that right now, but we are. Oh, the unfortunate play coming out there from Peru. And here's the thing, both teams are coming up to ultimates, but I think the fact you're able to keep Key alive so long in that final fight really gave me hope that Peru is going to come back in and be able to shut it down, but just not able to. And now I think Chile has given themselves that breath of life. Essentially, when we looked at the stats there was only one member on the side of Chile that had, I believe, over 10 elims. And somehow we're now going to a 0.3. I think the Zarya swap for Frack, it took a little bit to get going. It's worked out a lot better, but I think you've also started to see this DPS line and the support line really wake up into the aggressive level, the aggressiveness that Peru was showing them. They're getting used to it now.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. With a close one like that, you know Chile is ready to take this one on, but of course it's off to getting that good start once more. These a little different, obviously, with the Zarya and the Junker Queen. This is one of those maps that the high ground does matter a rather substantial amount right here, and you're seeing different teams vying for different areas. You're more than happy being Team Chile hanging down on the point, because you know eventually Peru is going to have to drop for a full contest here in due time, or wait to find an opening. As, Uber Eats nearly losing their head right here. Martian could be in that conversation instead right now, who barely is able to hold on, but eventually finishes them off right now, as Persona going to drop down over onto the point. Should realistically get separated enough to be finished off right here, but oh my god, never mind, okay, Persona, who are you? Clears way too, and that's gonna win them the fight.
Yeah, and what was looking for such a good fight for Chile, especially getting a Martian, who, I mean, if everything gone the way I thought it would be, Chile would have been having the control of the point. I would have said Martian's kind of gone quiet here. Chile's doing a good job shutting them down, and you're just not seeing Peru really respond if Martian's not finding that value, but you just need a pop-off play from Persona, apparently. I mean, two players walking into you, just taking railguns to the face as if they're eating them like it's a cookie. I mean, not necessarily how you wanted to go, but hey, you'll gladly take it.
Yeah, right now, unfortunately, Uber Eats dying is not how you'd like to take it. You'd very much not like to lose your Lucio this early on, and now this is another scenario where it's going to be really hard to fight back, and you're mainly playing for stall in this case right now, hoping to get your fifth back in time. Shout is going to be used here. You're seeing a little bit more of the separations. Everyone kind of goes over inside as Fix goes down, Key separated, and yeah, we're just back to the stall game at this stage, but you would potentially get this into like the 50 territory if you were lucky, as you see it's just Uber and Martian kind of still hanging around right here. And to be fair, you get some stall in, you get to 48%. Not bad, all things considered.
Yeah, not bad, all things considered, especially when you look at what Peru's coming back in this next fight with. You have Pulse Bomb, you have Kitsu, you're going to have Beat and probably Overclock. Same thing, though, could be really said here for Chile, as Bert already starting off with their Overclock, looking for someone early on, but I don't think they're going to really find anyone, but you still have 3 other ultimates coming up for Chile this engagement.
Oh, that you do. We're going to keep on rocking and rolling forward right now. 20% still on the board. This Graviton Surge is really important for LCS to have up online, but Uber, even more important to try to get it online moving forward, to be able to match it, because the moment LCS decides to be super aggressive with it, there's almost nothing you can do to prevent that from going down. Instead, it's going to be fixed with the Kitsune Rush right around the corner. Bert taken out early, opens up the door big time right now. Martian 3 of the Pulse Bomb, not really going to find any receipts for that right here. But Eli doing their darnest to try to keep them in this one, but Persona again decides Clicking Hens is a fun way to stay in shape, and that it will be, as they're going to help clear out the house right here. Last little touch comes through. Flip came through at 42%, and that is 4 ultimates gone for Chile.
And again, another big investment into a fight, and you're not finding any value off it. You look now over at the side of Peru. They have their beat, which is going to be very big here, as Frack is coming up to that grab, and Key not that far away from a Rampage. And honestly, at this point, if you're Frack, you're probably using that grab to try to maybe cancel out that Rampage, just to make sure that you don't lose anyone early, but you lose Eli early.
Yeah, and that's devastating. Now we're at 80+%. You need to focus to keep everybody alive, because you know, no matter what you do, Frax might be able to catch Martian out. 100% does. And now you can use a graph here. Beat is ready for Uber Eats. It is going to come out, and it's going to keep alive, at least for the moment. But all of that damage coming through at once is eventually going to burn them down, and it's just everybody throwing their body over on the point. gonna be able to eventually clear things up. 99% online, but yeah, it is a stall game. Point will flip back over. And now, really important coming up here, Key, going to have the Rampage, and LCS, no beat currently.
No beat currently, but however, you look over at this Chile's team. Oh my God, Frack!
Oh my
Fix,
God.
you cannot make that mistake. You cannot. But you look over at this Chile team. They have 2 bubbles. They have a Suzu. They have the necessities. They have the abilities to really make sure that this Rampage doesn't find a lot and potentially puts Key in a spot where they can be punished. But Martian coming up to a pulse bomb. Same thing for Eli. Burt should have overclock, and I imagine that's gonna be used pretty early on, especially as we're nearing 75% here right now. Hunter, Chile has ultimates and immediately pops it off here. Look what this does to Peru. Just immediately fall back.
They almost both lose their heads here. Burt gets caught momentarily, but will get cleansed out of it. So now it's going to come down to this final fight right now. You've already taken a bit of a trade right now, but Burt's down. This is opening the door for Peru to come through, but both the tanks are still hanging around. The Kirikos are both still here trying to help the cleanse, but FX going down puts Frack in such an unwinnable situation. You are hoping and praying that you get a little bit of care right here, and you definitely have it with Eli still hanging around. Nearly gets taken away, though, as Consider Rush is going to come through. FX, LCS, right around the corner. LCS dies before the beat's online, and now they're falling one after another. Persona takes out 3 to finish this one out, making it 4. Persona, the hero of Peru, is going to help them take away that first map.
Oh my goodness. I mean, if you're... you can go back to the pulse bomb there from Eli not being able to find the stick onto Key because Key would have died. There was not a Suzu there to save them. That could have completely turned that final fight, but no. Then LCS come back with the beat almost online but gets taken out at 99%. Peru made the clutch plays there to make sure they go up 1-0 in this series, and now Chile, after a really impressive first series, I think they got a wake-up call. They got a slap in the face there. They fought back on University, at least forced that 3rd point, and then they almost won that 3rd point in almost the exact same way they won University. Now they have some resilience coming here, but Peru, again, like we said, they had that first series, they had that first game, that first time. They didn't have to play. They were able to watch Chile. They were able to understand what they needed to do. You got Frack off the Winston, which almost looked unstoppable on the same map earlier. Now you force them over to the Zarya. It takes them a little bit to going, but it works out for them in the end. However, the Junker Queen from Peru, I think, was just too oppressive. And at the same time, the Tracer play from Peru, it was just insane. I mean, Martian, I think, single-handedly won their team at least 2-3 fights across that entire map.
Yeah, no, that is genuine insanity right there. Being able to pull that one off the way that you did. Persona. Absolute beast. Again, we go back to near the very beginning, where Persona was literally cornered, 5 health, got them in a health pack, hit them back-to-back headshots, and that is what won them that fight. Let's make that clear. I think Persona dies there. I think it's almost impossible to pull that fight back there for Peru.
Yeah, and kept them in control at that point for another fight. That's another 20-25% you got right there just off of that alone. But you could also talk about Chile investing 4 ultimates into a fight, not even finding a kill with any of them. While the other side, yeah, they invested 3, but still, you invest 4 ultimates into a fight, you need to be winning. And if you're losing it, you at least need to be killing 4 with it there to at least make it feel like it was somewhat worth it. Again, I think that 4 ultimate fight from Chile kind of put them behind the 8 ball a little bit, but they did fight back from it. But that ultimate disparity at the end, I mean, yeah, like we said, LCS was coming back with beat, but just a great play by Persona to get them out before they had the chance to use it or before it was even ready. Now Peru, 1 map away from themselves being 1-0 to start tonight. And hey, it would also be their last game of the day, so they'd be undefeated going into the 2nd day of Conference Cups.
Yeah, that'd be a phenomenal thing going in with that confidence, saying, hey, going in and being Chile right out the gate, that is a big thing for them right there. And then being able to kind of celebrate off of that and be able to learn from that as well. That would be massive right here. But I would argue it would be even more massive if Chile were to pull this back and make this 2-1 in their favor, and how much confidence that brings you, because this is also their last game of the day. And obviously, while they have more going into tomorrow, if you're able to go and be 2-0 going into that second day, carrying a lot of confidence with you, you're sitting in a really good situation, because I don't think it's arguable to say that you have faced two very tough teams right out the gate, and winning them both puts you in such a phenomenal position. Like, unreal.
I would say if you're Chile and come back and win this one, you've won 2 of your toughest games. Maybe the 2 toughest games you have to play, but that's here or there. Again, not going to rank these teams. Not going to do it. It would probably be 2 of the toughest games you would play, especially on your first day. And I think it would give you a big, like, kind of weight off your shoulder, knowing like, hey, we played 2 really good teams day 1. Yeah, we still have to play a couple other good teams the next 2 days, but you feel pretty confident with that. But now if you're Peru, you were able to beat them on it. And yeah, that Zarya came out and did slow you down a little bit. Martian slowed down a little bit as well, but then you started to see Persona come alive there. And much like what I said after the first map last series for Chile, I talked about that DPS line being maybe one of the best DPS lines of any of the Conference Cups teams. I think you saw Peru right there really kind of outshow them at times. I mean, Martian was causing a lot of problems. Persona, we talked about their highlight play. I mean, it was just insane. But remember, second map, it just flipped, and that DPS line for Chile really woke up and became a huge problem. However, they don't have that 1-0 lead this time. They're going to be playing with their backs against the wall. So it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, it's going to be very different in this instance, seeing how they have to kind of fight their way back. But obviously, again, we know a lot of these players have the ability to fight back, to bring a lot to the table. And even when things become tough, they fight back, they make things happen. Obviously, whether or not that would be the case, it will be something we see here pretty soon, as this second map will hopefully begin in due time, as, man, couldn't have timed it better, Runasapi. Yeah, that's gonna be. I just realized I called this map Esperanza earlier, didn't I?
I don't
definitely
think so.
did. I feel like we'll run the tape back. I'll clip it later if I did.
Maybe you did.
Maybe.
But doesn't look like a swap for either side. Okay, LCS.
Yeah, wait.
But
I know someone who loves. I know a certain observer who likes alpacas. By the way, I think I know who this is.
Are they doing this?
I think they're doing this because I don't know if
they're doing this.
Well, who else
but we'll talk about that later. But coming out of the gate here, you saw Frack play this Domina last time in their last series against Costa Rica. It worked very, very well for them. But how is it going to work against Key and this Jungle Queen, which I think got off to a really good start, a really fast start last map. And I think that was the biggest problem for Frack. Persona and Martian getting off the Tracer. So I have to imagine, especially with Eli playing the Vendetta, Tracer was most likely banned out here going into this one, much like probably what Chile did last series against Costa Rica. So you see Martian go over to this Echo, which I think is going to be a little bit easier to deal with. But if you let them have the space in the air to kind of fly around, hit these sticky nades like they did right there, they're going to be a really big problem.
Oh, no, 100% right here. But Key is already suffering a lot of major damage early on. Has to use that shout just to kind of hang around and stay alive. But it's Frack who enters a state of desperation for a quick moment there. When you get hit with that many stickies right there, there's a certain feeling you get in your heart. The fear sinks in, as Frack will eventually get burnt down by Martian. Without the tank there, it's just really tough for anybody on Team Chile to hang about.
Yeah, FX dies, LCS falls. Eli falls, LCS barely going to be able to get out here. And this is a situation where I think if you're Frack and Chile, if you do not win this next fight, you need to get off the Domina. I think Jungle Queen's just going to be able to fight a little bit too much pressure. I think also Martian, they've just been so impressive so far throughout this entire series. I think they're going to be a big problem to you because, again, you have to remember, Domina is a pretty slow-moving tank. Those sticky nades, and especially that focusing beam, will just melt you down. It doesn't matter how much support you are getting here.
Yeah, no, 100% has, out the gate there. A good cleanup right there from Bert to get rid of Martian. Obviously, you see the aggression of LCS and everything we've seen, but Bert and Eli happily cleaning things up right here, as Uber, last one hanging around, will eventually fall as well. So again, clean fight to get things going, and now look at how far ahead LCS is on that beat compared to Uber. Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, I have to imagine that first fight entirely, Uber Eats was using just the speed to really help their team avoid a lot of the stuff there, because unless they accidentally made a swap in spawn, that makes zero sense. But you do have Duplicate, you do have Kitsune Rush coming on here for Peru, so you're not in the worst spot. You also have Kitsune and Beat coming up here for Chile, which could be used really just to get that checkpoint. I think that might be what we see coming out here from the Martian getting stuff in the backline as Kitsu's out from both sides.
Yeah, no, 100%, and now you're starting to rock and roll forward, and you going with the gear. Honestly, this might
not
be
the
fine.
Worst.
if you get Kitsune Rush out, it is great. The problem is that you're getting separated. I don't know if you're going to have the time to reasonably get this out. You need to connect onto someone, get something. You're 3 seconds away. Is it going to come out on time? Trying so desperately, and they won't get it.
And look, forward spawns almost capped, and essentially all that Chile needs to do is maybe get one pick here, especially on the Key. Panopticon comes out, does land onto one. Key should be taken out from it. They eventually will, and now checkpoints in control for Chile. I mean, Hunter, you remember how quickly they completed this map last time around, and even with the slow start they got here, I mean, 3 minutes in, they have the checkpoint themselves and are continuing to push forward.
Yeah, again, had a really good success before. Is finding really good success here again on push. But again, you got to follow up on that. You still need to lock this one in. As Eli, he's going to go early aggressive. It honestly doesn't get much out of it, but forces out a ton of resources as a result right here. As Persona, yeah, that was crazy. LCS dropping in for a little friendly hello, hi. As it looks like the rest of this Chile roster should eventually fall over. LCS gets one on the way out for their counterpart, but eventually cleanup comes through. But everyone will get the forward spawns.
Yeah, Eli and Burt getting them there is going to be really big. LCS is going to be able to kind of tax them back as well very quickly, and you could see a fight come right back up at around the initial starting point here. But you look over at Peru, Rampage beat another duplicate, a Kitsune Rush here. They are in a really good spot here to not only win this next fight, but get that checkpoint themselves and really take the lead off it. Peru, I mean, Chile's going to need a big play off here from Burt as they're looking for something with this overclock.
Yeah, trade comes through though momentarily. It sucks to lose out near Curie so early in a fight right now, which means if you want to win this, if you're Chile, you got to end this now. But you have 3 that get caught out, 3 that go down. It's going to be massive here for Key, who's going to start heading this one back the other way. And with that many deaths, potentially going to lock in this checkpoint right now.
Yeah, it should be checkpoint here for Peru, but they're not necessarily getting the lead off it. That's still a little bit of ways ahead of here. However, you were smart there if you're Peru. You only invested 2 ultimates, you still have your duplicate, you still have your Kitsune Rush, still nothing ready on the other side. So you could very quickly take a fight here, knowing that Chile does not have really anything to respond here unless FX is going to throw out that ultimate Kitsune Rush immediately once they get it. And I think if you see that, you immediately respond with your own.
100% you do, and now important fight coming up here as Lucio is going to be copied here.
Not
it is
the
just
worst
support
again.
City. Yeah, but B comes out in time. That's massive, and now you're pushing back. You lose that on Eli, and now, with the way this is right now, I don't know if you can reasonably force a touch here, but they're going to try. Kitsune Rush comes through right now. Body's going to get forced back. T gets a ton of damage thrown into him. Will stay alive, though. But now it's on LCS with this beat, isn't it?
LCS with the beat, you have Frack as well with Panopticon here. This is not the worst case scenario, but you want to find a pick here before you really try to push the bot any further, and that's what you're seeing Chile kind of get set up here for. They have the ultimates to really play into it, especially since Peru doesn't have anything. But right now, again, you're looking at these DPS lines, and you cannot lose Eli early.
No, you cannot. That's rough. And now you have to potentially use a Panopticon right here as Beat's going to be used. Super aggro coming through. Uber is literally one. They're going to go all in, but Key, immediately that Panopticon gets broken.
And, I mean, the beat and now that Panopticon basically used just to stall out this bot here for a brief moment, really just playing straight back into Peru's hands here. Persona gonna have the overclock here momentarily. Same thing with Key and their Rampage. Nothing is ready for Chile now as they have almost buried themselves in this ultimate economy. Yeah, Bert's gonna have an overclock, but they've struggled to find success with this map.
Yeah, literally Bert has to be the hero for the squad right
someone
here.
Has to know.
No, they don't know yet, but misses the first shot. Persona is going to eventually get connected with right now,
though.
But still, yeah, Frack gets abandoned for that kill right there, and now, what do you do without your tank in there? What can you do without him? As Eli is going to fall down, Martian gets rid of a second. You see the separation coming through, and this is going to be Peru taking this lead over.
And again, I think right now you're starting to see a little bit of differences come out here. I don't think you needed FX and Eli to kind of turn around for Persona. I think Eli should have been able to still kind of deal with them on their own. FX turning around might have just led the Frack dying there, and now the lead being handed over to Peru. Kitsune Rush out here from Fix, but you look at everything else coming online for Peru. They have 4 ultimates online still, but Bert, you needed someone to pop off.
Yeah, and that you will get right here, and you get a Kitsune Rush out for good measure as well. Bert gets rid of a third in that fight, and it's big, but the problem is there is a giant pool of vaults awaiting Team Peru, and as far as they are ahead in the situation, again, if you could stagger these out, it'd be beautiful.
I mean, hell, if you could get all 4 out from Peru, if you're Chile, it would be perfect here. But you're not even going to be able to get the spawn reset right now. So this is going to be a weird back and forth fight here for a moment where you're just going to see it probably being played on this hill again, which I think plays right into Peru's hands, especially with these ultimates online. But FX does have this Kitsune Rush coming up here very soon. However, I imagine Key's waiting for that to come out to just mirror it out.
Oh, and Key gets solo beat. So much used in Menacence right there. They are going to clean up house, though. And to be fair, you're almost fine with this. Everyone's going to go die over on the point. Big cleanup for Martian comes through, but you get rid of 2 big ultimates for that Sunbring Blade.
I mean, yeah, you get rid of the Rampage and the Beat. I think that's huge there for them. But still, you look at that ult economy for Chile. They're not in a good spot. They're not.
No.
I mean, Persona and Martian, yeah, Martian's duplicates so far this map have not been the best, and they immediately duplicate onto the Lucio again. And at this point, I think it's kind of targeted. They're going after supports. The Beat here is going to be able to sustain this team very, very quickly and allow them to go in. Martian almost gets out of the dupe there, but the Beat does come off.
Yeah, and Frag is so far separate from the team for a moment there, is hiding within the shield right here. Persona with the overclock that we've seen work so many times, but Key is down early, so without that extra sustain to kind of take all those shots, we will eventually see the cleanup right here, but big stall coming through from Uber to basically ensure all those forward spawns.
Okay, we figured this out during the tryouts. Who is Uber Eats? Because I know that's just that's a fake name. Is that Lep? No.
No, it is, Uber Eats is, Ishtar. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it's Ishtar. Yeah, it's Ishtar. But, I mean, Ishtar's been doing really good so far. We'll just keep calling them Uber Eats here, but not able to get the forward, not even get the spawns reset here. Someone, Frack is still alive here!
Massive Ricky going down. If Frack can stay up, this could create a potential snowball moving forward here as, yeah, Bizwit cleaned up. Ishtar eventually down and fixed. Last one remaining, doesn't even be able to stall at the point, so you're going to get forward spawns here. In this next fight, in my head, this is the decider coming up here.
It's the decider, and I mean, you've actually rotated now into a good spot if you're Chile. However, Pert's on the other side of the map. You have a beat. You're going to be able to eat into the lead a little bit here, but 20 meters right now. LCS is back, but the rest of Chile is going to have to fall back without losing anyone here because you have the ultimate advantage, and I think you have to play fast. You cannot allow Fix to get up to that Kitsune Rush.
Yeah, but I don't know if they know, and if that comes out, you have to beat aggressively into that, and you force your way through. But now, gonna try to make that space right there. Ishtar's super low, but will not go down, and now Fix right around the corner from having this. You see the aggression willing to take it. Key goes down early. This bot is gonna start taking over and start diminishing this lead more and more, but someone's gonna have to force their body on here.
10 meters and counting right now. There's a Kitsune Rush out from Fix. LCS still holding on to the speed. Gonna be able to get it off this time. Who's gonna be a touch though? Someone from Peru needs a touch. There it is. They still have the numbers on their side, but Ishtar will fall. Bert, Eli, you're seeing Chile come alive, and they're gonna be able. Wait.
Yeah, okay, they just cleared it out. They cleared it out. They did not step off. I would have been terrified.
I got so scared there for a moment because it just kind of abruptly ended. I did not see them pushing it. But Chile keeping themselves alive in the series. This is exactly, I think, what me and you expected in this series. Hell, we expected last series with Chile and Costa Rica, but Peru, I mean, they have really made Chile work for it, and they've really, I think, been the better team so far. Redder has put together a really good team on this Peru side.
Oh, 100%. It has been really exciting, everything taken into consideration. My God, that's phenomenal. Obviously, hoping to see how things keep going moving forward. Obviously, 1-1 now, one map to decide it. I don't know what the third map is going to be in terms of what type it could be. I do want to confirm something, though, because obviously the B stream does exist. Puerto Rico does win that game in 2-0 fashion over there. So they put themselves in a good position. And the game that just started, I believe, is... What is it? It is...
Costa Rica and I want to say...
Oh, that's Honduras.
Yeah, Costa Rica and Honduras is going on right now. It looks like Costa Rica, they're about one fight away from potentially winning that first map there.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not going to mess around with too much stuff because as it has been made apparent, things are going to happen very quickly when they happen. So we'll kind of just talk about that for a hot second as that looks like it's about to realistically end. But I like the fact that we're going to the third map, and I don't know how I feel in the situation, because it felt like for a hot minute, like that 3 or 4 second, or minute, I should say, span, that Peru had that locked in. They were in such a good position But again, we talk about Chile having big fight back. They 100% did and fought tooth and nail to pull that one back.
Yeah, and Hunter, one thing we didn't talk about, especially on a map like Runasapi, 50-50 Overwatch. We did not talk about it at all. And normally, especially when me and you cover South America, for Face It, we talk about it a lot. On that map, that's the map that coined that phrase for me and you, that 50-50 Overwatch. You're okay winning a fight, losing a fight. You keep the forward response. We never saw it there. And I think you're seeing both these teams, again, we talked about both these teams, they want to be aggressive. Slowing down, I don't think is either one of these teams' fortes. It's not something they're very good with. They struggle when they have to kind of slow down. So that's why I think when you saw Chile get control of that bot there in that final minute, it was hard for Peru to come back out there and really just get going again, because they had to play so defensively. They had no ultimates as well. I mean, you talked about it. If you were Chile, even if you lost a couple fights in a row, you just wanted to get rid of the ultimates there from Peru, and you did that. And then you rotated into your own ultimates. LCS holding on that beat for as long as they did was a big difference maker for them there, because I really believe they could have used that in the fight where you saw Peru use their last two ultimates just to make sure everyone stayed alive.
Oh no, 100%. It was like a desperate affair for a while, because you saw how many times, at the very least, that Peru threw ultimates into a fight, sometimes only to just sustain long enough to buy time and make it happen. And it's obviously a very risky situation, because maybe you buy enough time for everybody to get back and put yourself in a good situation, because when you're scenario where you're playing for things like checkpoint, like extending a lead, sometimes you're willing to use these ultimates just to give yourself that extra time to work with. And it ends up working out well overall. There are definitely some instances where it didn't, let's be real about that, but it's a really good display of them being willing to throw things out there with that aggression and make it work. And for Chile, works out extremely well, because again, it was really unfortunate there for a while.
Oh, it really was. It really was. But again, I think this match here, unless we see one in the final 2 hours or blocks of games, is going to probably end up being the match of the night. These two teams have been so back and forth. I mean, you go from one team being dominant to the other team being dominant to back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I mean, again, I think both these teams might be happy that this is a game that's going out on the first day and not necessarily on the last day. Because if it was a last day game, there would be a lot more probably pressure and nerves coming out. What?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I do not want to be in that position. And to be fair, there's a certain game that could be very important on the very last match slot on Sunday, which
God,
yeah I think that could
we'll talk
potentially
about that actually we won't be able to talk about that on Sunday, sadly.
Yeah, so little context, since both of us have somewhat busy lives, we'll say, well, we're at this tonight, and we'll be at it for the whole night at this rate. We're here for that. Tomorrow, it's going to be likely just me, maybe near the end instances,
for
depending
the
on
first
how this
couple.
goes next. Yeah, and when
for the
Dex
first
gets
couple,
here,
and then I'll join you.
Yeah, I believe right now I'm going to have good old Getty Getster joining me for some of those opening games. That'll be a lot of fun. And then Sunday, we are both rather preoccupied. I will be able to cover a couple, and then I'll be able to cover some of the later ones as well. So, well, not many of them. But again, that's a future situation. The important part is, Dex, we're here for tonight, and we are enjoying tonight. Exactly. Future.
But let's focus back in on this game right now, as I imagine we're not that far away from heading into the third map. Let's just ask this question for both teams. We'll start off with the team that just lost the last map, Peru. What do they need to do here to get over the hump? Because I don't know what it is. I could say consistency, but again, these are two really close fought maps. What do they need to do to kind of just break away?
It's obviously a tough question ultimately, and a tough answer to be able to find. But when you're in a situation like this, where again, you run a very close map here, you only lose by a relatively small margin. It is fixing those very little mistakes right there. If you see aggression that can be taken, you have to go for it. I feel like we saw them a little bit before, more willing to do that over on Oasis compared to over on Sapi. You know, I think that this is a team that, again, manages aggression very well, that can be very aggressive. Chile is in that same conversation, obviously. But since Chile is in that conversation, sometimes you need to make yourself the aggressor if you're Peru. They've been good at it, and I think they need to keep doing more of that. Because at this stage of the game, you have no reason not to. You have to go for it.
Mhm. Yeah, you have to. You really do. But now let's go over to the other side for Chile. They have been normally a team so far. You could go back to every round on Watch Point gonna be our final map, but you can go back to you just want to see Winston. But you could go back to the first map of it's not Helios.
You're talking about Oasis?
Yes, Oasis. And even last map where Chile got off to a slow start. All 3 points on Oasis. They got off to a slow start on Surabasa. This map, I don't really think you can afford to get off to a slow start because, yeah, second point is a really hard push to do, whether you're attacking or defending, or whether you're attacking. I just don't think you can get off to that slow start here. And I'm guessing maybe Lucio was banned.
There's a real chance right now. To be fair, you wouldn't really blink twice at having the on a break on a Gibraltar, but. FX LCS, how much are you playing with us right here? Because to be honest, I believe both. I gotta be honest. Well, I believe one. I believe neither.
Stop getting gaslit here. But Frat going back over to the Winston, remember, haven't seen it a lot since that first map where the Jungle Queen kind of shut it down. So I imagine the two bans, even though Jungle Queen doesn't make a lot of sense, might have just honestly been Jungle Queen and Lucio.
I mean, you're not exactly wrong. I think you're pretty right in that regard. It makes sense.
Maybe Soj.
Yeah, and now the Emeray's back out. I don't know if you've seen much, but Emeray has been making some really big appearances now in competitive play. Sometimes a really good substitution for the Sojourn.
Yeah, I think the Soj is actually banned out here right now. So I think it's probably Lucio Soj banned out. Emeray basically covering that spot, like you said, of that Soj. And it's gonna be really important to see both Burt and Persona get off to strong starts because you don't have that one-shot potential anymore. But you can really chunk down a player with one burst, as you already see FX having to give up that high ground.
Yeah, and again, you have to be willing to give it up just to be able to stay safe. Ultimately. You cannot put yourself in a situation where you're going to die for the cause. That's not what you need on a map like Gibraltar. But as things stand, death has been a very limited subject so far on this map a minute in. No one really willing to do the risky maneuver. And to be fair, especially as the attackers, you don't have to. You keep that the push going down there. Because eventually, someone has to pressure you. But Eli is not going to be able to stay down there anymore. And as you kind of lose out on the person that pushes the cart, it kind of prevents you from doing a lot.
And you look at Fracky, FX, LCS very low on health here. They're kind of just playing for their life at the moment. And you look over and now at Peru, Nano, Bomb, Pulse Bomb, Rally, and Override Protocol about to be all in line for them. Peru's kind of lagging behind right now in their ultimates. You need to find an early pick here, though. As already the Nano invested on the frack, they need to find someone, and they find two.
Yeah, it's going to quickly become three here as we play a little ring around the rosy. As Fix will be taken care of in time. It's just Key and Martian hanging around, which, to be fair, two big members as Frat going to get Pulse Bomb, but is going to be carried just as quickly.
No one's pushing card. I think that's been the biggest mistake here for Chile. I understand that they're trying to clean up this fight, and if they would have found Key, might have automatically guaranteed them this first point, but you just need to have members on the cart during that entire push.
Yeah, and unfortunately now it gives you a chance. Override Protocol is here, though, and now you're trying to find somebody in a position to be able to break down, Fixes down. Uber is in a really rough situation right here, and I think eventually you should see bodies fall off of this point. One after another. Persona does have the Override Protocol online now, but it seems like it'd be a waste to use, as to be fair, 4 minutes on the clock. All fun and good as Burt is just cleaning everybody up.
And Persona, you guys saw the card there for a brief moment, but LCS can take care of them. And I think that's a really big thing for Chile to get that cleanup right there in that fight. Put two members on this card and push through, because this is a very difficult point to kind of push through. Even since the change to this map, I still think it maybe is a little bit harder with the change to the map. But a huge anti-nade!
Wow, yeah. Ishtar's gone. Key knocked out of the mech. And now you are set up in such a beautiful position. I would say if you didn't lose out on Frack, and he is going to get back probably just as quick, honestly.
Yeah, but Frack's going to come back in with the Primal Rage. And look at FX. They already have another Nano ready to go. Persona, though, they have their Override. And that's something that, well, nothing on the other side can necessarily eat. But he kind of struggled eating Burt's here now. But you see Peru get set back up on point. He, though, has to be very careful here not to necessarily overextend themselves on this Diva, as Frack, well, they can do that. They have the get out of jail free card.
Yeah, that they do, and you see everybody push back. And again, assistance where, FX is gone early. The Override Protocol has been so useful, but Frack has been really big and just throws Fix around. Fix, by the way, still alive right now, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to matter as last second touch comes through for Persona as still 4 minutes on the clock, and right now, Chile is on fire.
On fire. They're doing really, really good. And you heard me say, oh, it was because, well, Frack popped Primal Rage, got put to sleep. Unfortunately, Key and I think Ishtar were right there to wake him up immediately. No nap time for the scientist, especially when they're angry. But now you look at Peru here. They're in a good spot to still kind of be able to stabilize. You have a pulse bomb, you have a nano, you have your own bomb coming out here from Key. But same thing for the other side. But that is a pick you need to get out of the way first. Bert, I think, has been quietly doing a lot of work this round.
Oh no, 100% has right now. Kind of goes down early, but that does kind of stem your bleeding. It allows you to slow things down a little bit more going into this one, as you would love to get rid of Frack if possible. I don't know if it's going to happen. Right now, Key maybe has some concerns of their own, as eventually cleanup does come through, as they're going to be able to stop the bleeding, honestly, for the first time since, like, near the end of point 1.
I mean, essentially about a minute and a half into this map. I mean, remember, it took about a minute and a half to see the first pick come in here. And now, though, I mean, at the cost of a pulse bomb, you are able to win that fight. You're, like you said, able to stem the bleeding, but now look at what Chile has here. They have 4 ultimates, or 3 ultimates, about to be 4. You're going to have 3 yourself right now, but oh, this is...
What?
Both nanos being invested, but it looks like Key might be using their nano to keep their team alive.
Yeah, and Persona's gone. You somehow, Martian's still alive for just an extra moment. Bomb is going to find no value as FX is cleaning some bodies up right here eventually. Big cleanup, and now with the pulse bomb and a rally still online, they are in good position.
2 for 2 ultimate trade right there, and if you're Chile, you love it. You got out probably the 2 scariest ultimates on the other side. Ishtar coming up to their rally. They're using it immediately coming out of spawn. They thought maybe the car was a little bit closer. I don't think they needed to use it just yet.
I don't think so either. Now, you're in that free room coming up here for Ishtar to start cleaning up some bodies. Pulse bomb sticks beautifully, though, from Eli. Keeping the team in this one 100%, but without Frack there, it is definitely going to be a difficult one to pull back around. Persona is hoping to clear out some bodies. Gets a couple ones low right here. And the big sleep right now is they get back to the cart, thankfully, but that cart is eventually going to have to be given up. They get cleared out. That's just really unfortunate.
Unfortunate, but I think if you're Chile, the slow start you got because both teams were playing, I'm not going to say passive. They weren't playing passive. They were just playing very smart. Neither one wanted to make the first mistake and overextend themselves. And yeah, it was Eli who died first, but I feel like a lot of the times, like Tracer and Lucio, while they are very vital to fights, if they die first, it's not the worst thing in the world because they'll normally be back very quickly. And these two teams have been having long, drawn-out fights. And you look at the stats here. I mean, Bert, one death. Like I said, I think they were quietly doing a lot. Hunter, they have the most damage in the lobby by over 2,000. Like, they were quietly doing a lot. Frack as well, most elims tied with Bert. I mean, doing so much. Even, did that say almost 1,200 healing just coming from the bubble itself? Frack was doing a lot there. I think Key, this is always interesting because we talk about a lot. Who's the better dive tank? And a lot of people right now probably might say D.Va is one of the strongest, if not the strongest tank in the game. But I think you're still seeing a very, if you have a good Winston player on your team, it doesn't matter how much better D.Va might be in the meta-wise. Just being able to play around bubble, the right click, the fact that Tesla cannon does not get disrupted by the damage matrix, it just makes that a little bit better. And Frack has shown us tonight that they are a scary, scary Winston here. But now, side swapped, teams haven't made any big swaps here either. I think this is going to be the round where you have to see Key get off to a really good start.
Yeah, no, 100%. Big start, really important right here. Key able to do amazing things earlier over on that jungle queen, but now forced to go down the dive route right here. As Persona is gone extremely early, and Eli is going to make it their job to hold down that point for as long as humanly possible and not give any room for Martian to help that push.
Again, like I said, last round, I think Bert had quietly a good round, and we saw it there with the stats. Yeah, they had a really good round for not necessarily getting their name that kill feed a lot. This might be the round where they loudly have a good round.
Potentially so. Is getting pressured out and somehow lives through that backline assault that comes through off the back of Martian and Key. As now they're just kind of waiting for opening, but unfortunately, the thing with Peru is they're having trouble finding any opening in this right here. They're going to have to force their way in to try to find something, but Key should be demacked as a result, but will be actually cared for. But the ante comes through big time, and while Bert does go down, I think losing Key would be a lot more substantial. Marsh is more than happy to keep cleaning out some bodies, and while Key will go down, that might be a slight blessing in disguise here if Frack and Eli fall, or FX fall.
Oof.
Yeah.
But
Oh
you
my
need
God.
these kills here right now. Eli, though, just stalling out the cart. And here's the big difference between those first two fights right there. You look at the time. It's just the distance that the cart was pushed. Yeah, Peru's going to be able to kind of match that pretty quickly here. But look, they're falling back. That cart is going to be sitting at the bottom of the valley now for a little bit. And both these teams are coming up to ultimates. Granted, that support line for Chile kind of lagging behind, but Eli does have pulse bomb ready to go here. And no Suzu to cleanse it this time.
Oh, no, 100%. Now we're in this situation where you're going here. And to be fair, there's some good ultimates coming on the corner. In fact, almost everything is good. Fix, letting go with that nano early on is going to cause a lot of pressure over on FX and LCS to care for each other. But they get separated as FX and Fix both go down aggressively so. But Frack getting the better is going to put them in a wonderful position. Has already gotten rid of 2. And now you've already popped this as Bert's going to be cleaning things up. Key needs to get out alive with the mech. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. And Key just needs to go and walk off the edge or swap.
They're swapping.
They had the self-destruct.
They had bomb. They had bomb.
Oh, they're just straight up going Winston now.
They're straight swapping Winston. Okay, I think they realize they cannot match the Diva going up against the Winston, so they have to play Winston instead. And now that completely resets their ult bank. And now look, Chile, 3 ultimates ready to go. Persona, though, has the override protocol, which could be big here if it finds 1 or 2, but Primal Rage coming out from Frack and everything started.
Yeah, 100%. And now you go with that aggression, hoping to find something with the Primal Rage. Not really getting a whole lot right here, as I don't know if that audio is just me, but we're in a situation where Nano gets thrown out. You're continuing to rally for work, and at the very least, you are killing more and more time. There's only a minute left now. You're in a rough situation no matter how things go from here on out. But you have Persona with the override protocol ready to go. If Eli can stay alive, you potentially throw it, but unfortunately, Key down. And now, 45 seconds left. Peru is in desperation territory.
Desperation territory right now. Chile, I mean, maybe a little bit of an overinvestment using both your support ultimates in that fight, but getting Key out, I think, was a very big thing. Hell, pardon the pun, but a key thing was getting Key out of that fight there early on. But you now look over at Peru. They have a nano here if they can play it slow. They have override. They have pulse bomb. They have the ultimates coming up here. And they're going to start off with it right now. They need to find someone with this.
Absolutely do. You managed to get FX low, but getting them low is not enough in this instance right here. You see the separation as LCS FX are really just kind of just fighting for the life right here. Bert, though, eventually is going to fall from their counterpart. Frack, potentially not too far behind in the situation that we're at right now, should be able to cap this point away without much more work. You have Eli still hanging around as the overtime is going to come into play. The question is, can we get another touch in time? And the answer is probably not.
No, and it looks like Chile already going to kind of give up this first point here. Again, second point is very hard to push through, especially if the defense team can get set up, and the majority of that team will be able to get set up here now. And they have ultimates coming up, so they weren't necessarily worried about giving up that first point, but Key going to be able to keep himself alive and potentially find Bert.
Yeah, 100%. Big pick right there to get rid of Bert. It's going to keep you trucking on forward. Something you really need in a situation right here. You need to try to cap this with at least some kind of time and not having to keep putting yourselves in these overtime scenarios.
Yeah, and I mean, I think right now Chile's doing a good thing of just backing out, regrouping, because like I said, they have ultimates. They're about to have 4 coming up, and the only thing that Peru has at the moment is, well, just this nano, and Fix can be taken out.
100% right now. 1:45 left on the clock, and Bert's already gotten rid of 2. This fight should be done and dusted. Would love to get rid of a third right here as Pulse comes through, and this is right here with the classic, hey, I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation. Right now, if you're A-Star.
Yeah, it's good. If Ishtar somehow lives this, it's gonna be insane because you can see it right there in this pause screen. The heavy shot probably about 1 second away from coming out, but you also have Eli right there. So again, if Ishtar lives, it's nuts. But getting rid of the override protocol right now, I think if you're Peru, I think is a good thing. I mean, that's just such an oppressive ultimate, especially now that Diva is gone from Key going over to the Winston. It really just leaves the override with nothing to really worry about it other than just people hiding or running for their lives and hiding. But still, you look over at this Chile side, Primal Rage, Pulse Bomb, Nano, you need to hold on to those ultimates now. I don't think if you invest, as we've seen these teams multiple times this series, heavily into fights and lose, it could really be something that I think kickstarts this Peru team to come back, not only in this round, but potentially this map.
Yeah, it's a very real scenario right here. And obviously things kind of get cleaned up here by Bird, just put things in a difficult situation. But it's about trying to build up these ultimates, and you're hoping that you decide to be really aggressive on this fight if you're Chile, I should say. If you can get either like the nano or the primal out here in the situation, it puts you in a really good scenario. By that point, you probably build up to your own pulse bomb. You probably build up to your own rally as well. The real question is fixed with this nano. Obviously, it's a good tool. But do you decide to hold off on it at all just because the ultimates are so stacked against you? Do you go out of your way to take a dry fight with such little time remaining?
That's the question of whether or not you invest it into this fight. You know, it's gonna probably most likely end up going to Key. I think the only other person you might give it to, looks like we'll be going back in here, would be either Martian or Persona, but it has to go on the Key. You want them to be able to go in. Okay, yeah, Ishtar not gonna be able to escape. I think it really depends on just how it goes here. If you find the first pick, I think you just go straight in. But now that you're just seeing staggers come out, you're just gonna, I think, hold on to it, especially as FX gonna come up online to this nano as stream's getting chunky now.
little chunky at the end of the day. It is what it is. But still, the ult disparity is still very much there. Martian's getting closer, as is Ishtar. Overeats, I should say. But again, you have to get out into this fight at the very least to get some of these ultimates out right here. And that's the thing you have to really that is a big hit right there. Catches on the 3 ultimately right here. And unfortunately, Fix is actually going to get a left. Yeah. Frag decides to go and help out there instead. Eventually jumps back, and it does cause momentary separation to the point where Eli and LCS are cleaning up shop.
Yeah, I don't know if Frag heard the sleep dart come out there, but I mean, here's the thing. Chile wins that fight, but if you're Peru, you're happy with it. You got rid of Primal, you got rid of Pulse Bomb. Yeah, both support lists are now ready, but look at what you have. Both your own support commits, your own Pulse Bomb, not that far away from an override protocol on Persona, who you don't want to see fall first. Hell, you don't want to see anyone fall first if you're Peru. Nano being invested here early on, Hunter, and going straight after Bird.
Yep, big one right there, but you lose out Fix. The nano was used at the very least, so put yourself in a somewhat decent situation. But right now, if you're Key, staying alive is so important right now, especially as Martian has the pulse bomb ready, throws, good stick, gets rid of LCS, puts Frack in a desperation situation right here. But Frack has already gotten rid of 2, and the question is that going to be enough as they run to the car? Barely are going to get the overtime online, but I don't think it's gonna matter one bit. They'll get cleaned up. Try as they might, Peru will get smite by Chile, who now is going to finish their day being 2-0.
I think if you're Chile, you are incredibly... You're really, really happy, like I said, coming into this series here, especially after the first map. We were able to come back, go 2-0 into day 2. I think a lot of pressure is taken off you now. And yeah, you might still drop a series here or there, but you really have to believe you gotten rid of 2 of your toughest opponents early on, and you were able to find victories. And again, you go to all the power rankings that you saw. I kept on seeing Chile be that 3rd, that 4th. I even saw someone rank them as low as 5th, and I was like, you don't know ball at all. But still, if you're Peru, I think you can be really happy with how you played here. Yeah, you did not get the win, and yeah, you kind of got dominated on your map selection. But at this, if it is, I have to assume it's them picking, not just a sets thing. But yeah, you still have to be happy with the performance. You went up against a really good team, dragged it out to 3. No, you didn't drag it out to 3. They dragged it out to 3, but won it. You really put, I think, give Chile what might be their hardest series, obviously so far, but of the weekend, yeah, I would just say that might be it until they lose. But if you're Peru, I think you saw great performances from everyone. This is not necessarily a hang your head game, because you still have a lot more games tomorrow, and I think you'll immediately be able to bounce back as Peru. Actually, no, Peru plays next. They play against Ecuador actually at 8. So they have another game tonight.
Yeah, 100% they do, and that will be very fascinating in its own right here. I'll ask this question live on stream, Dex, because the scenario that we're in, we're done with this. The other series is very much still going right now.
Is that still the first series?
That's the second series, but they are on map 2 right now, and it looks like right now, as things are, they should be able to cap this point away, because Benji is just clearing bodies out.
Yeah. I mean, I'll leave it up to you. No matter what, I have to quickly probably duck down to make.
Oh my god, they won that fight. What? Are you watching
Honduras.
That? That's crazy, Honduras.
Like, here's the thing. Honduras has some really good players. Like, there's a lot of teams I could consider being dark horse teams if everything goes the right way. Honduras is definitely one of those teams that would be a really big surprise. But I'll let you decide what we have to do, because no matter what, I have to fix overlays, because
you do.
you told me the wrong game and I believed you.
Did I? So wait.
Honduras,
let me, I
Honduras
believe that
does not play Guatemala tonight.
Did I read the? Oh yeah. Okay. So honestly, at this point, with A being ahead, let's stick with the A games, and then
I think I can quickly make that stuff.
Yeah. No, you're chill. Okay. You're chill. You're chill. So the next game that we'd be doing that would be coming up here. Which would be Peru. We would stick with Peru, be their second game of the day. And then it would be Ecuador, which this would be their first game of the day. So they've been able to sit back and kind of watch everybody the last, 2 hours or so, give or take. So it's going to be exciting to say. But no, it'll be really exciting moving forward.
Yeah. I would just say, just for the moment, just broadcast it, just have the other game on. We'll talk about what else is going to be going on the rest of the day.
Smart. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that really quick. So let me go ahead and pull that up over everything really quick. It's gonna be a little out of sync, but hey, such is life. It looks different. Like, the quality is worse, and I think that's my fault, honestly. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. So give me a second to figure that out, and then I'll have it up momentarily. Again, I love doing things on the fly on the stream. It's what makes things fun. We have a fun time here.
It's what we always do.
That's what we always try to do. Oh, wait, is that why? Is that why? That could be why.
What'd you do?
I think I maybe have to fix the width and height to fix this situation. And I think that might... I don't know if that fixed it or not. I think it could have either made it worse or better. I'm going to find out in, like, a few seconds. And if it works out, by God, Hunter is not a genius, but he's, not dumb. I mean, he's dumb, but he's not stupid. So I'll go ahead and play this over here. We're going to be out of sync on our side of things, but honestly, that's fine. We expect that. That's life, ultimately. Audio or my crate? No, there's audio. Hunter is just crazy, actually. Crazy. I was crazy once. Obviously.
Let's not get into that.
No, we're not getting into that. It's a funny joke. Either way, it was the overtime cap that ended up coming through. Just for those coming in, if you don't know who was who, left side over there is Honduras. Over on the right side is that. Oh, Hunter, don't be wrong. Don't be wrong. Yeah, let's go with that. Either way, let's bring up some important notes right here. First map, already been done, already been dusted. Honduras wasn't able to take it away, but now they make it so, like, overtime has to go through here. Now they need to finish the map with or without time to put themselves in a good position. And obviously this is another roster I really wanted to talk about, and I hope we get to talk to them a little more tomorrow when we have time, hopefully. Right now, but this roster has impressed me a very fair amount with what they've been able to do, with what they have been given. I think it's really nice for them. You're going to see them get cleaned up in this first fight, unfortunately, and you're going to see Artorias kind of move on forward, and so will graciously be picked off really quickly. Index, I know you're in the midst of doing your thing, and I'm not going to ask any complex questions, but, I mean, how did you feel about this Honduras squad? Because we knew next to nothing about them going into everything, but now where we stand, we have gotten to learn quite a bit about them.
I think it's the same thing that we say about every team, basically. Like, especially if you don't know the players, and throughout a lot of the tryouts, we talk about them being the great unknowns. And like, they are very exciting. They're very mysterious, just because we don't know about them. And I think we saw Honduras really. The first time we saw them was actually in a show match. And I think the biggest thing that we can say about them is they got better throughout that series. And it was against Costa Rica, who at the time was the best team that we saw. And as we just started seeing more and more and more, we started to see them actually really build the core that they have. And I think if they're able to put it together, they really do have a chance to do something. Like I said, I have them as a dark horse, but it's really hard to put it all together, especially against a lot of these good teams. But it's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible at all. Let's make that very clear in this instance right here. Is a scenario where Honduras, the biggest thing for them for this is coming in and making a really good impression. It's the first time we've gotten to really see them in the World Cup situation. And even if they don't come out of this, being the top 3, you still want to see them go in and have these really good fights right here. As yourself be able to get rid of Benji. Unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to turn this fight around. But there are a lot of teams like that, you know. At the end of the day, you have Guatemala that we're going to see here in a little bit as well, who is a team that haven't seen a ton in the past, but still, you can't go into this underestimating a single team, or there is a very good chance you will pay for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you cannot like that at this point in this tournament, or in this tournament. You have to go against every team as if they are the best team you're ever playing. Like, if you go in saying like, okay, this should be an easy match, you're immediately putting yourself at a great risk to really mess it up, which for some teams, unfortunately, that will happen. And it's just going to be a very important thing for all these teams here tonight to just not necessarily mess this up.
Yeah, you can't. You want to go in just into this day having the best outcome as you possibly can, or at least the best headspace, honestly, as well, too. As there's now about 35 seconds on the clock, Self is going to have to hit the hard reset button here in a moment. One fight remaining to try to turn this one around. Remember, if they do lose this fight, they will end up losing the series in the 2-0 fashion. But they get one more fight. They got some good ultimates. I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah. And I'm going to make sure I at least have this up on my other screen right now.
Yeah, no, you're chill. Tidal Blast is out there. I know we're going to be out of sync pretty much no matter what. As Pulse Bomb 6 onto Arturius, as Z-Karma, unfortunately, takes a bit of the brunt of it right here. And now I worry if they can get the touch right now. Benja has to let go of that beat just to kind of get everybody over towards the point. And it's going to be down to Daniel, who's had some good instances thus far right here. Caldo is going to help out the squad. Self has gotten rid of 2, though. Could open up the door for Z-Karma to get back, but I don't think it's going to quite matter at this point right here. So, going to stall a little while longer. Z-Karma trying to make their way back is here. Unfortunately, All Might, they are not, and will eventually be cleaned up. So, hey, at the end of the day, that will be that. It's a good bounce back for this squad right here with Costa Rica. Again, not the best start to the day, but they put themselves in a very good situation here. Now they're 1-1. Which, again, not a bad situation given what we're going to have moving forward, but still.
Yeah, I mean, they went up against a really good team that first series. I think they could really probably look at the day and say we might end up 1-1, 2-0. I don't think they're looking at this day saying there's no way we go 0-2. A lot would have had to happen. I think this is still a very good showing for them. Again, you got rid of one of the tougher games that you're going to play this entire tournament early on, which granted, you still have a couple more tough games, but you're happy just to at least be able to get rid of a tough game early because it makes sure that you don't have to deal with it later on when maybe it is a little bit more important.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's extremely important in a scenario like this. To come out of this, even if you come away with just 1 win out of the 2, that is important. That will always be really important to have. And I hope moving forward, no matter what, this is a point I'm going to make throughout the weekend because I think it's a very important point. And there's a couple of teams I talked to, a couple of GMs and coaches I've talked to that have had the same mentality. No matter what happens here, they want to keep things going. In terms of doing show matches, in terms of kind of showing off the players from their country. That's really important ultimately. Because the World Cup is obviously a really big event that brings all these players back and brings them together to put on these events. But you also want to be able to kind of let that pride continuously showing. Because obviously we don't know what the plan is for next year. We know before it was like, hey, we're running the World Cup back to back to back years. You can anticipate for it. You can know like, okay, the cycle is going to start back up in February and we pick it up from there. Like it's almost a seasonal thing. We don't know what next year is like. And so I know a lot of these teams want to keep doing what they do best, and that is play this game, because I could go into a whole tangent. And to be fair, this deserves its whole different tangent down the line.
Yeah, maybe another place.
Another place, another time. We'll figure that out. But I'm just happy because we get to see 9 amazing teams and all the amazing players on them. That to me makes me very happy.
Okay, I can stand back up now.
Yay, let's go. I have things sent to me, which means I can swap.
Oh, my knees.
Oh, a little shout out really quick, by the way. All these amazing overlays that you see in the game, in the cam screen, that is all Mr. Tron over here has gotten so phenomenal at it, and I will tell him that every time that I see something amazing here.
I tweaked my back.
You did? Oh, okay. That's not great.
No.
That's okay. Do you need to go stretch for a minute, sir?
I'm good. Because here's the thing. It's 8 o'clock now, 8:13. So
Yes.
this next series of Peru and Ecuador that we're going to be covering should be starting momentarily. Because the other ones did start. The other one did start at the top of the hour.
Yes, as it was supposed to. That one, remember, the game that we first covered right there, that Chile versus Costa Rica, that started early, and we were a little caught off guard.
No, Chile, Costa Rica started late.
Well, it started late, but the other one started technically even later, from what I saw. Not by much, but enough. They just had a big pause that happened.
God, I'm looking over at your stream. It's just forehead cam for me.
Legit, this is what I see every time we're getting ready for a game, is just straight forehead.
Yeah, at least most of the time I'm sitting in a chair. Okay,
True.
but let's... do you have a way to look at the standings of it? Or do we know who won the other games?
So I can tell you who won every game. So from the 4 that have gone on right now, so I'll just go in order from how they have ended. Chile beat Costa Rica. We had Puerto Rico beat Argentina. We had Chile beat Peru, and then we just had Costa Rica beat Honduras. So right now Costa Rica's 1-1, Argentina is 0-1, Chile is 2-0, Honduras is 0-1, and then Peru 1-1. I should really make a list. Oh my god, wait, Hunter's not even ready.
Hunter, I think at this point we are figuring out that it could just go whenever. So we're going to be heading in. Looks like, again, we'll be starting off on Oasis. I don't know if this is necessarily the main map that we're seeing, because I know one of the streams one of the games they did off on Lijiang. But looks like no big swaps coming in here for Peru. Ecuador, though, this is the big thing for me and you. We have not seen Ecuador. We haven't seen their tryouts. We haven't seen them in any show matches. At least I haven't. I don't know if you had. We know who Rainy Day is, and I think we do know who Shea is. But outside that, these are all new players. I think this is gonna be we're gonna get a really quick introduction here, very, very fast, as Key coming out on the Mauga after playing, I think, an excellent Jungle Queen last series against Chile on this same map.
Yeah, that's fascinating, ultimately. So we'll see what kind of comes to form with that right here. The diva that we honestly, I don't know if we've seen we've seen a little bit of diva as Kirby will manage to make it back over onto the platform. But we'll see what we expect. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah, all right, cool. But hey, we're still mid-fight right here. The manga is definitely really interesting, and maybe it's a little bit of a reaction to what we already saw within that first game for them, where they kind of just aren't able to squeak it out right here. And so far, things looking good for them, because while it is almost capped over there by Guatemala, it really should be the cleanup squad coming through here to take this point over.
It should, and Persona, I think, gonna pick up right where they left off. Again, I think this DPS line of Persona and Martian had an incredible series against Chile. Maybe one that if we had the stats for, you would be saying, wow, it's a shame they ended up losing that series, but Chile was able just to come out on top in the end. Key, though, barely staying alive here as all the healing in the world being pumped in to the Samoan wall of meat.
Yes, 100%. And now, at this point, Kirby probably should have just taken the reset already, and I think just decides, that's the right choice. And it is the right choice, by the way. Just take the reset, move on. And scary thing, by the way, Martian already has a pulse bomb.
Martian's building up pulse bombs normally like how we see Freya's build up bola shots. It's almost uncanny, really. Like, that's how good they're doing, even without getting their name in the kill feed a lot. They're just providing so much pressure, finding so much damage, leaving it there as the pulse bomb's out. Not going to find the stick this time, but now they're focusing back in on Kelly.
Yeah, Martian close to going down. The cleanse just barely misses out, and now this is a big trance going through from Ecuador to pull this one around. We'll see what the scenario is, as everything is nice and fixed, beautiful. But now, Key, just trying to kind of struggle to stay alive right here, is getting so pressured right here as, they get off for like a moment, but they will eventually be able to find the cap. 56% right here. Need to try to keep Key alive, who is getting a little bit separated. Kirby does drop down to get the Mega Health Pact, I believe, as they're going to force their way back on. Copy for Rainy Day. Doesn't look like it's going to get a whole lot right here. It does cause separation, cause somebody to get low. But unfortunately, with Kirby knocked out of the mech right here, I think coming back from this is nigh impossible.
It's not necessarily impossible here, but I think you need to get back, and now you just need to fall back.
No,
Never mind. It's impossible. It is very much impossible. They are Hunter, you know that one Malga gif? Yeah, that was that right there, but with 3 people.
Oh, that's beautiful. But there's one fight left, and the bright side is, because that fight goes, they still have a lot of ultimates.
They still have a lot of ultimates, but I think right now, if you're Peru, you want to play aggressive here. I think we talked about the last series a lot. They loved playing aggressively. And look, already just going straight in, you're going to have to use something here early on. It's going to have to probably be Ameliox to get started, but the beat coming out a little bit too late to save Kelly.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately so. And now you're in a weird situation moving forward right now, as that's all fixed up right there. Key's able to get rid of one Martian as well, and the Panda Peru coming alive right here as Kirby is going to have a bomb available. Throws down the pulse bomb, doesn't get rid of him, and unfortunately, Kirby not able to get back in. That first round will be decided. But even though it is 100-11, that is still a really scrappy performance from Ecuador. I think that's worth saying.
Very, very scrappy from them. But again, I think this is going to be something that we see pretty often here tonight against, or throughout this entire weekend, with teams that are going up against Peru and Chile. This aggressive play style that they really like to play is really going to, I think, cause a lot of disruptions, cause a lot of problems with teams. If you're not ready for it or not necessarily good to withstand it, you're not going to really be able to do anything against it. And Malga might be one of the most aggressive inting tanks in the game outside of a charging Reinhardt and a Doomfist. But I mean, I think Key is playing this one here. And you saw the only person that died for Peru that entire first map was Martian, which, I mean, again, you kind of expect that from a Tracer, but no one else died. I mean, everyone on that Peru team did such a good job staying alive, and we talked about there multiple times as Key almost got their first death right there by playing, again, too close to the ledge.
Yeah, one of those things that I still don't think gets moved very far forward, all things considered. But still, you never want to play as a character that can just simply fall down. That puts you in such a position. And now, I had no idea. And Persona just gets bursted down as a result. Big for Rainy Day to clean that up, but still, he's kind of just hanging around right now. Is waiting to find a second victim potentially right here. He's kind of in a really weird position in the backline right now where no one's really turning for it either. They're taking a really aggressive fight up top right here, and eventually this is going to pay off with another pick, in Ecuador gonna win this fight, only losing Xia in that instance, as actually Kelly goes down too. Wow.
But you're going to see Persona get traded out again. I mean, Persona comes back into the fight and quickly exits the fight. Fake's going to fall as well, and I think this is what I want to see from Ecuador. I want to see what happens when they're actually going to be able to set up with the point in their control. Because the first point, they were never able to set up after they got control of the point. Everyone for Peru kind of just hung around, waited for their opportunity to strike. Now it's going to be Peru coming right back in. And look, Key saying, can't play the Malga anymore. This is not a map that really works good for the Malga because of how wide open it is. Allows more of this Ecuadorian team to kind of play free, but Seiya going to be taken out first.
Yeah, and now this is going to be rough because you can't really hold on to this. You just kind of have to sustain as long as you possibly can, but you're not even going to do that. You're just going to get out with everybody alive who can still be alive right here, but Rainy Day and Kelly are still in rough situations, but they will eventually get out. As I have questions.
You want to know what happened? I bet you they probably teleported to Kirby as he was over the gap.
That is kind of funny. I cannot lie.
Unfortunate, but fun, yes. But you still look at Ecuador coming back in this next fight. You're going to have Duplicate, you're going to have Bolt, you're going to have Bomb, and you're going to have Overclock here. But Rainy Day has to use Duplicate just to keep himself alive here. A Pulse Bomb pick could be huge from them.
Yeah, you're trying to build this up right now. Bird already knows. It's, oh my god! Okay, Rainy Day.
We see another one.
Could still get another one. Not going to. But still, it's really big right there. You get rid of a second, and while Rainy Day should die as a result, somehow doesn't die, by the way. They flipped the point kind of early as well.
Rainy Day is a name that I've heard of before, and I think me and you have both casted this player. I think I know how good they are, and they are making this Echo look amazing here. I think it's really causing problems now, too. Kirby going to have to use that bomb there just to keep themselves alive. Not going to be able to find anyone, but again, in that situation, you're just looking to get back into the mech.
Yeah, and now Gia over to having that Kitsune Rush right around the corner. Now that things have taken an extra minute, we are going to have the double Kitsune Rush. The double beat potential on the line, as well as Emilio and Ishtar just so close to getting it online to be massive. But Kelly goes down early. Key big open to get this going. And again, you're seeing the instance where this fight's over with, and Kirby is just going to kind of stall out over on the point. Gets knocked off momentarily, and now can get staggered out, but won't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they weren't staggered out there a little bit longer, considering that Peru already took the point back. But still, I think if you're Ecuador, you're happy with that. I mean, you have 3 ultimates in your back pocket. Granted, Peru's going to have 4. Here, they have the remaking tool, but they have both DPS ultimates. I think that's going to be something that Peru really relies on this upcoming fight, because if Martian can find 1 with the Pulse Bomb, Persona can easily find 2. Hell, we've seen Persona find 2 on this same exact point without needing the overclock.
Oh, 110%. So we'll see how things kind of roll on from here right now. Is about to have 70 over the war. Beat going to be used. Ishtar going to use theirs a little later in the game right here. And now it could be down to Kelly to pull this fight back around. But it's Persona once more trying to move in, making a little bit of space. It is definitely doing so. And now you're trying to reset as fast as you possibly can. Yep.
What a swap. What a swap to that one. Just straight into being hit by a car, sound effect and all. Oh my goodness. I want to know who's observing this, because that was just great timing. But here's the thing. If you're Ecuador, you're coming into this, someone has to touch, and you get the touch right there. But you need Rainy Day to be able to do this bit fast. They have it ready to go. Pulse them out from Martian, not going to be able to find them. So you have an opportunity now, because there's a chance if you win this fight early on, Key won't use the bomb.
Yeah, and now you have to be careful, because now, unfortunately, you've lost too many bodies. Maybe you find some kind of flip, but probably you're just going to have to let this loose for a moment here and try to make some space. Try to find some kind of blow right here. He's going to try to get the mech, but doesn't even get the mech online. Bomb's going to come out here. Isn't able to get it online. This is rough. Rainy Day pulls it back with 1, but it's not going to be enough as they're boot away from the point. And that's a competitive one there for Ecuador, but Peru takes that one away. And again, kind of picking off where they left off, because remember how good they looked back on that initial Oasis they played against Chile.
I mean, yeah, and you have to remember this point here was the point they ended up winning the entire map on. And they just picked up basically right where they left off. They played the Malga the first map and then swapped over to the Diva this time around. They just played Jungle Queen exclusively last time around against Chile, and it caused a lot of problems. Remember, it forced Chile to get off the Winston, which has been working so good for Frack, going over to their own Diva, I believe it was, Zarya, that was slowly able to get going. But still, you just had a huge plays come out from Peru against Chile to win that map. This time around, you didn't need those huge plays. It seemed like they were a little bit more relaxed going into that one. But I think Ecuador, they really made it interesting there at points. You saw really good performances for some of them, especially on that second map. Rainy Day really started to find a lot of value. I think the biggest problem was you were always losing 1 or 2 people very early on in fights, and unfortunately, it always seemed to be either the Soj or the Kiri, which you don't really want to lose either one of those 2 first. Hell, you don't want to lose anyone first, but normally, again, I always kind of lean towards you want to lose your flex DPS or your flex support first, because I feel like you can still win a fight without either one of those.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's always a bit of a rough one where you're in a scenario like that. But again, I think Ecuador got a little better as the map kept continuing forward. Rainy Day, I think, looked phenomenal, especially when you kind of see... Yeah, big standout, which, if I'm not mistaken, we know Rainy Day by a different name, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm pretty sure...
I only know them as Rainy Day.
I think I do too, but... so I did a little research
Is
earlier.
that Wilma? Is that Wilma?
That is Wilma Fist, yes. Which we know for certain reasons, but the reason I'll say we know them is because they're playing they're playing in Face It this season right here on that Heist squad, who ended up winning the qualifier to get in there in the first place. I know it's open to Master anyway, but they won it regardless. Only ended up dropping 1 map throughout that whole instance. So obviously really fascinating to see in this instance right here. But obviously going forward, in this right there, and how good you kind of played if you were Ecuador, it doesn't go your way. But again, they're another one of those teams that are kind of like in that same, scope as like Honduras or Guatemala, where people don't, people have them low on the list. Let's be very clear about that. But they're still strong in their own rights. And I think that right there, despite it being a 2-0, that is a good showing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. People are doing those power rankings. I always feel like it's a little bit disrespectful to do them. Just because sometimes people just don't know the teams, don't know the players. But one thing that me and you really learned from watching a lot of Face It, both North America and South America, especially as we're starting to see a lot of these Central American players come into South America and North America, just how chaotic they can make games. That's been one thing that's been pretty normal for us to experience, and at least in South America, in Face It. And I really do think it's going to start showing its head up here. I could expect to see Ecuador make this a little, maybe a lot interesting going into whatever our second map is. But right now, Peru, especially with Redder being that coach, probably just trying to get everyone to lock back in here. Yeah, they won that first map. They won it pretty good. But remember, I think we were talking very highly of Peru after they beat Chile in map 1. And then they proceeded to drop 2 maps in a row. Granted, the second one, really close. Third one, not so. But they're just, I think right now, if you're Redder, you're trying to make sure that you don't fall into the same mistakes you kind of fell into with Chile. Again, Chile, I think, is a much different team from Ecuador, but you don't want to start seeing those same little mistakes here. And I imagine if Redder goes back and watches this, he might be a little bit wow, holy crap, I cannot speak. A little bit angry at what I'm saying. But again, you don't want to have those habits coming up early on in this tournament because you still have a lot more games to go. You have 6 more games to go over the next 2 days for Peru.
Yeah, no, 100%. So obviously we'll see how things go from here. Something I do want to bring up, as we do have a lot of people in here, and we had a little question asked, and I think it's worth bringing up because we explained it a bit near the beginning, but it's worth doing while we still have a moment for this next map to begin, and that's the format of how this all goes down. Because, lo and behold, wasn't, I don't think, publicly explained in the best of manners, but we know how it works, Dex. Yes, or at all, but we're going to explain it to the best of our ability right here. So what you're watching right now is essentially the opening qualifiers for the Americas. There are already 5 teams that are currently already in the American Conference right now. That being what? It's USA, Canada, Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil, based on their performance from the last World Cup. But you have 9 other teams that are basically doing their own wild card here to claim the last 3 spots in the American Conference. So what we have right here is that qualifier. So what's happening today and subsequently the rest of the weekend for both America and Asia as well is we are playing a round robin. Everybody is going to face everybody. And at the end of the day, the top 3 teams in terms of standings will move on to play with those other 5 teams in the American Conference a little later down in the year. It'll probably happen a little closer to the summertime. But that's why it's so integral in the situation that you get some of these wins early and puts you in a good situation. Because whether you're 9th, whether you're 4th, if you're not in that top 3, that is your year done and dusted.
Ooh, yeah. And again, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but Hunter, seeing Suravasa for the first, this has to be orange. This has to be orange. This has to be. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly explain this. We're taking a guess that the observer for this clean feed is one of our good friends, Orange, who always finds the alpacas, who always are the llamas and the pigeons, especially the pigeons. We are assuming it is them. If it is not, then man, the observers all love animals. But Martian being taken out early by Rainy Day. Again, Rainy Day has been a standout so far, in my opinion, for this Ecuadorian team. Finding that first pick, I think, just gets rid of so much pressure. Now they're going after Fix, who already uses the Suzu on themselves.
Yeah, 100% right here, and I love Kirby going over towards this Winston instead, and unlikely to see a retouch of any kind, as yeah, that one going to be clean up and dusted away, but still have yet to really lose anybody quite yet. He is getting pushed back. He's gonna have to use the shout, and the cleanse comes out as well, as Kirby has been extremely aggressive so far on this Winston, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it does not.
I like Rainy Day playing this off angle, but ooh, not able to land any of the stickies there. Needs to get out. Marshall gonna be able to punish them, but Kelly gonna be able to find Persona. A huge trade back almost immediately.
Yeah, 100%, 40% over on the board right now. Still having the tank alive is massive for both squads, but you're getting surrounded from both ends right here. And with Kelly now being gone, this really is kind of more of a stall game that's coming through here right now, as the point was potentially going to flip momentarily. Last second touch is coming through for some of these members, but it will flip at 62%, and now you're just hoping to get everybody out alive.
And it seems like, I mean, especially with the Suzu being invested there, just get Rainy Day and Zaya out. I hope that's how you say that. I don't want to be saying my cat's name over and over again. But, I mean, you put yourself in a good spot here if you're Ecuador. You have some ultimates coming up. That Katsuna Rush could be very big here, but you look over, Fix already has Katsuna Rush. Marsh not that far away from a duplicate. They could use those pretty early on here and put it into a scary situation for Ecuador if they lose the fight that they're already kind of having to give it up. But Rainy Day finds Martian.
Yeah, massive to get at this stage of the game right here. And now you need to find some kind of follow-up on top of that right here. Overclock is available, but you see how much Kelly is just kind of being pushed out of the fight, but it might not be enough right there, as Point is going to get packed over at 67%. Eventually the cleanup coming through, and because of all these late picks, they are going to have to rush their way to this point to touch.
They're gonna have to rush their way, but they have Lucio to get there fast, and you also look at what Peru has. Everything basically coming in this fight outside of Kitsune Rush. Ecuador, they used 2 ultimates in that one. Martian, though, I think just kind of hiding for their life. Rainy Day, though, Emelox and Kirby are gonna have to do a lot in this fight with their 3 ultimates, but someone has to touch. Emelox, though, will fall, and just barely a touch in time.
Wow, yeah, just barely. That should be enough to take this one, you would think. But now we're back at the forward fair already. Kirby is still going to have a little bit more to work with that primary available, and Rainy Day is able to get the unleash, just get it on to 3 of the members right there. Martian is struggling to hold on to this form. Eventually knocked out as we have a flip coming through as they are just getting cleared out.
Here's the thing, though. I think you could still see Ecuador come back in here really quickly if they want to. Rainy Day is going to be the only late arriver. But you look at what Ecuador has here. Beat, Primal Rage, but you still have Rampage and Overclock on the other side, and Ecuador, I think at this point, they're just giving it up. A jump in, but no, a nice boop out.
Wow, and that is massive, and now you just kind of have to eat the death there. Save the Primal Rage for the next fight. As we head over to the next one to game things rolling, some big ultimates online, but to be fair, the ultimates that exist right now for Peru, they get pretty outplayed by the ultimates sitting by for Ecuador.
Yeah, and this is a very interesting point, especially with, having that ledge that leads just into the death lake, essentially. You have to be very wary of where both Emelox and Ishtar are for the 2 Lucios. You don't want to be booped off here, because, again, we've talked about the ledges here. As you see the Primal Rage come out from Kirby early on, just trying to knock people away, you really want to find a pick off this just to give your team some advantage. But, again, Rainy Day, they have just been impressing.
So impressive, and maybe goes a little too aggressive right there, but Kelly gets a nice pick over onto Martian to clear out the fight as Kirby, again, so aggressive over on this Winston, and sometimes it's caught up, but right now it is forcing Peru to have to run so far back.
Yeah, and again, this is a good start here for Ecuador, but they now need to keep it up. Brand, you got both the Overclock and the Rampage out there from Peru, so you're in a good spot with Rainy Day and Kelly Dude coming up to their ultimates, and Rainy Day somehow is always finding themselves behind the entire enemy team, but you lose Kirby. However, Rainy Day duplicates into a tank, so they're going to have to really keep their team going.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see who goes right here as copy's broken very quickly. Martian has theirs online as well, but it will not matter ultimately as the cleanup's going to come through pretty much around the same time it happened last time right here. The difference is that a lot gets used right there, and now with having to beat in the copy, you should feel pretty decent about your position right now, for Peru.
Yeah, I mean, Peru, like his beat copy online. Kelly Dude does have their Overclock, and Zaya coming up to, I'm just going to say my cat's name at this point, is coming up to that Kitsune Rush, but you already see Kirby going in and just having to fall straight back out. Now Key's going to try to pressure him out a little bit, but I would not be surprised if you see Peru here invest something early. Yeah,
and to be fair, it feels like you don't have to anymore. You could for the funsies, but I wouldn't quite recommend it as they're going to clean up a couple of bodies. Now you're going into last fight territory. Persona's getting a couple of blows to finish out this one, as well as you try to get Rainy Day out of there. You 100% do. And now you haven't used any ults, and you've built up to even more. Yeah, I think this is just how Peru wants to take these fights. They find one pick early on and allows them just to kind of build up this ult economy, and really makes it hard for Ecuador to do anything here, because now Ecuador is going to pretty much have to invest something here. And yeah, it's going to be the Overclock. You need to find a pick, but the beat basically going to cancel everything out. Yeah, and Kelly is getting cared for momentarily. Eventually should be taken care of. Hasn't. By the way, overtime doesn't even activate. They don't get the touch in time. With Kirby down, they're not going to win the fight anyway. So now it's just trying to clear things out. And honestly, we're both talking back and forth with the person in chat who I think knows who Rainy Day actually is. But I mean, Rainy Day's been putting on a good performance. If it is Frothy Philly, then it's not that much of a surprise. No. But you see now Ecuador series hopes are on the line here, and you're walking into 3 ultimates. Granted, you have 3 of your own, but it doesn't look like you get off to the strong start you got off to on the first 2 points this time around. No, 100% not. And now you're kind of rallying for a little bit more space right here. Primal Rage is activated. They're trying to chuck on forward right here, but just getting massively damaged. And now you've doubled down right here. The point opens back up. It's eventually going to be claimed here from Peru, at least momentarily. With Rainy Day down, I think that permanent is going to turn, or that temporary is going to turn a lot more permanent as Persona gets rid of 3. Hoping for the 4th right here. And Persona has been going buck wild this whole day so far.
I mean, Persona has just been. I mean, this DPS line for Peru. I know I talked a lot about Chile's DPS line, but this DPS line for Peru has been a lot more consistent throughout their 2 series. Yes, again, they've lost their first series, but I think Persona and Martian were easily able to maybe have better performances than what we saw from Chile's there. And Rainy Day going right after Fix, but the TP again keeps them alive, and now Rainy Day has to use the duplicate just to keep themselves up.
Yeah,
Martian?
I have questions about Martian. But the bright side right here, you get this Consumer Rush on, you should get a Consumer Rush online. It'll be thrown across the way, beat used almost immediately, and now, remember, this is Final Fight territory. You lose this one, it's done. It's dusted. Nothing is helping you pull back from this one. With Kelly and Zia down, I don't think you come back from this situation right here. Maybe you force some overtimes, but you're losing body after body in Peru. After a bit of a heartbreaking loss to Chile, they are going to bounce back and get their win on the day.
And I think they okay, camera work there. They get a really good win here. They get a really good win. I think Ecuador did give them some challenges, and I think that was one thing that we were going to be kind of the biggest question for us. Again, we have not seen this Ecuadorian team. They didn't. Fix went 8-0. Fix never died. 22 assists is insane, and almost 11,000 healing. But this Ecuadorian team, again, coming into it, hadn't seen tryouts, hadn't seen a show match from them. I believe they did have one show match before this. But I still think they actually had a really good showing, even though they end up losing this one here. This is their, I want to say it's their own. No, they have another game, which I believe we're also going to be covering that one as they play Guatemala next. And again, a Guatemalan team that me and you haven't seen. That was a team that announced their roster, I think, literally only a couple days ago. One that we didn't even know was going to be a part of Conference Cups until a couple days ago as well. But I think Ecuador, you really did, I think, give Peru some problems, but I think Peru is able to kind of learn from some of the mistakes they had against Chile, get that bounce back win here, and put themselves in a really good spot heading into day 2, where they have 3 games. They have 3 games tomorrow.
Yeah, that is going to be insanity, by the way, when we get to that point right there. But no, this is, to be fair, I think this is on right a decent display for both teams. Peru to bounce back from what happened against Chile, and for Ecuador to kind of try to, honestly, get their feet in the water against one of the tougher teams they're going to face. And whether it is for Guatemala or for Ecuador, this match coming up that they're going to have here, as soon as the other one is finished, because for once, we get to breathe a bit, Dex, because the next match we're going to do involves a team that is still playing. So
yeah, you get to breathe for a second. I have to get you the overlays.
Yeah, you have to get the overlays.
Luckily, this one should be fast.
Yeah, this one should be fast. So yeah, like we said, Ecuador Guatemala is the next game on the docket right here. And because we have to wait for that to happen, that means that match and the other last game of the night, Honduras versus Panama, also is going to have to wait for that as well. So both games should be able to tie up around the same time. It'll be interesting to see. But I was keeping tabs on that other game. It is still going, Dex. Panama takes a close one against Guatemala. They get that first map on Lijiang taken away. And we're just waiting for that second one to get going. Either way, it will be fascinating to see what the situation's going to be. As we're kind of honestly just waiting on things to happen. Low-key, let's keep it a buck right there. This is going to be the first real down period we have. I am going to throw on the other game as soon as the second map gets going. I will at least do that. But by the way, thank you very much.
Yeah. I mean, but right now, again, I don't think we've seen a bad performance from any team here tonight. I think, again, we went into that last series knowing Peru was probably the better team, at least on paper. I think Ecuador, they showed us a lot. Rainy Day, whether or not it is Frothy Philly or not, I think was the standout player there. And I think sometimes, especially in Ecuador's case, like if you have a standout player like that, have themselves a good map, I think it will allow the rest of the team to kind of settle down and really be able to play a little bit more freely. And that could really help them out in some of these other series. And this could be a team that I think might sneak their way into the top 5 potentially, but that means they need to beat one of those teams that I would consider a top 5 team. Again, we're not telling you, we're not power ranking these teams. Please don't make us.
Sorry, it's not happening. We're not doing that. You can't make us, ultimately. Little thing you didn't win.
Okay, it's not. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Someone was gaslighting us in chat. We are so sorry, Frothy Philly. Okay, it's not. Good. Okay. Sorry about that. Hunter, me and you have to stop looking at chat.
Yeah, I love looking at chat, though. It's so funny.
like I said, I thought Rainy Day was definitely someone else because I had seen that name before. And they just played really good for Ecuador there. And I think you saw a lot of other good performances come out from Ecuador. It just was kind of overshadowed by how good you were seeing that entire Peru team kind of bounce back from that loss to Chile. A really tough loss, by the way. I mean, we could easily talk about Peru being 2-0 going into day 2 here, especially if they had one more good fight on Runasapi, essentially. Because you have to remember, that was Chile coming back in the final minute from one side of the map to the other to get that victory.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's fascinating how, like, the two matches we've seen from Peru today really do have two different sides. One where it starts the same. They start really strong, it's a little back and forth, but they pull it out. The difference was Chile kind of just, a switch kind of just turns at some point, you know? That's what happens. Is a switch that turns for Chile, they get into a really good condition and put themselves in a really good spot. In this situation right here, Ecuador does start to do that, and they had a really good start. Let's make that very clear. Unfortunately, again, it's a situation where a couple people get out, they're able to re-engage, barely get a touch. They barely stop that touch coming through for Ecuador as well. Rough scenario for them, but ultimately, it's a scenario where Peru, 1-1 of the day, obviously wish you could have gotten that first one as well, but the fact that you got one of those really tough games out of the way, you bounce back and get a good win here, that is meaningful going into the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, and for Peru, I mean, there are 3 games tomorrow are against Honduras, Guatemala, and probably the biggest game of the night tomorrow night. Actually, no, the nightcaps tomorrow are both good, but Peru will end up tonight, will be the last game of the night against Puerto Rico. That should be a really, really good one.
Yeah, no, that one I am really excited about. There are a couple of games in here that are going to be going on tomorrow that are going to be really exciting moving forward. I'm trying to see what ones I'm going to do early, because I will have to figure things out for some of these earlier games as well. It'd be nice to cover some Argentina, though, because that's one of the few teams.
We'll talk about it more after.
Yeah, whole thing. But I'm thinking outside of my brain, because we're obviously waiting for the second map of this other series to start. Because, again, update for everybody. We obviously just finished that matchup with Peru-Ecuador. Peru wins 2-0. Right now, we're waiting on the other game to finish up because it matters for our last game of the night, as Guatemala and Panama are currently going at it. Panama is up 1-0. So until that game finishes, we are going to be here for a second. But of course, we're going to show that second map once it starts playing. But as for the moment, Dex, we are kind of waiting on that to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, next game will be our final game of the night. Even if that game ends, like whenever that game ends, or 9 o'clock, because again, or I don't know, we actually do have to wait for Guatemala to finish this one up. So we have to wait for this game to end before we're even going to get started here. Panama Guatemala, I think, is going to be a really good game, or is going to be a really fun game here. We already know that Panama is up 1-0 in this series, like you said. But I could, unfortunately, I could see it going 3. I really could.
It is one of those games that has that aura of going 3. It 100% does. And let's be real, it's super meaningful for both teams as well. It really is. Because, well, Ecuador has already lost this first one, and Panama could potentially... Ooh, you're oohing and eyeing.
They're going to Atlas.
They are going to Atlas. Let me go ahead and catch up on this one right here. We'll go ahead and play that right there. Let me make sure I have the audio correct this time, because Hunter did not have the audio correct last time. And now he does. It's beautiful. Actually, I can put the numbers up over this, can't I? I will do that. But no, it'll be fascinating right here. And just to make sure everyone knows what side it is which, Panama is over on the right side, and then Guatemala is on the left.
And this will at least give me and you a little bit of insight on how this Guatemalan team plays. Like we talked about, this Guatemala team announced itself very late in everything.
I don't care. I already love this team. Coming out with Ryan, here. Reaper, Lucio.
What time are you at right now?
19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Great, fantastic.
Yeah, we're just gonna cast this one now. I mean, honestly, Ryan on this first point on Atlas works very well, and it might be the only point he does work well on. That's the thing. Just being able to kind of control his high ground is gonna be very, very key for how Guatemala wants to play this one here. As you already see them like doing a good job of controlling it, gonna get almost the first. Yeah, they're gonna get the first point cap for free.
Oh, 100% they are. Now it puts you in a really good situation moving forward. You're trying to push everybody back as eventually we're going to see the Ryan cleanup come through. And now Takeda and Tiger going to try to get out of here alive. Such will not happen, though. It's the lone survivor that's got to run out of here.
Hey, remember I said I believe this series could go 3? I really do think it could go 3. But I think right now, like I said, this Ryan's going to work really good on this first point just because of how kind of suffocating Ryan can make this top floor, and it really forces Panama to go down to that go down to the lower floor to really get anything going towards point, which I'm surprised is something they're not necessarily doing just yet.
I'm also a little surprised by it, but big slam, by the way, in Yield 2026 right here. Tiger's still hanging around in there, but can't find any finish, so that is, I mean, that's absolutely massive, let's be clear.
Nice jump there by Kubo, just to get out of that one. However, Kokoron not going to be able to say the same thing right there. They don't have the hops. Granted, Kubo, I mean, they get help with the hops.
A little bit of help with the hops, but at least for that one right there, first point going to be taken away here as Panama hoping to bounce back. Have nothing going on in this fight. Obviously, you're going to have the artillery strike, but to be fair, it's not exactly the most, you know, utility-based ultimate in the world. Keep clear on that one right there. But hey, it doesn't matter. Fast and strong in their own right. As cleanup's going to come through, DPS are going to clear things out, as you should be able to see the second point be taken away here as Tiger blows up another, and Glacier eventually falls as well.
Yeah, like I said, after that first point, I think it's going to be really hard for the Ryan to get going here just because there's a lot more open space. It wouldn't surprise me if Glacier swaps here. I think that would be the smartest thing to do, but no, they're going to stick with it. I mean, you're coming up to a lot of other ultimates right now for Guatemala, but you look over at Panama here, you have artillery, which Tiger's using now. Tiger is using it now to really buy some space, it looks like. Oh, they just want Richie dead.
Yeah, just a little targeted. Let's keep it a buck on that one. Oh, but we're going to keep proceeding moving forward in this instance right here. As obviously, at the point that we're at, you're going to see the Phenom be used. I don't think it does a whole lot. It does catch on to one right now as B, not used, thankfully, as the rest of the squad should just be burnt away right here. Glacier would love to get out alive. It's not going to happen, though, as big cleanup's coming through, as everyone just trying to get out with their lives intact.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, if you're Panama, you're doing exactly what you need to do here, pushing up, but losing Takeda, not necessarily the best thing, because that's probably your main person to really buy a lot of space on the team outside of Kokoron. Now look at Guatemala, gonna come back in very quickly. Hell, I would not be surprised if they beat here, but Glacier just decides to run straight in. Katsuna Rush gonna follow it up here.
Yeah, both sound barrier is going to be used right here. Remember, Shatter's right around the corner, and there's no shield to work with right now, so we'll see what happens. The Sunken Blade's there, catches! Whew. Mario from above right there. Glacier falling as well means this point should be done and dusted. You may have gotten a couple of picks, but it's just not going to be enough to hang in here.
Yeah, and again, I'm really wondering how long Glacier's going to stick on this Ryan. Granted, they do have a Shatter here, so they're not going to get rid of it just yet, but I think as you go on, and now these last 3 points aren't going to be much more favorable for Ryan. A lot of open space, granted, if that could meet. Actually, no, this point might be a little bit favorable just because of all the area around the point is really close quartered. But you need to have the position here first, which it does look like that Guatemala is going to be able to get.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see what ends up happening here, though. 1-1 now. Some big ultimates on display. Again, you have that Shatter, which, again, the moment that shield is down from Kokoron, you should be able to go in and just take this big aggression. Why not, ultimately? But they're going to get this point for free at the end of the day because they know it's online. If Shatter comes through, it's only going to catch onto one. One might be enough, though, as they're going to clean some house out here. Tiger, luckily, still be hanging on. Eventually will fall, as you see. They're trying to cap in the back. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen.
Takeda running for their lives. Vito not going to follow them. I think that's the right move there. Just going to sit back and wait because you look at what Panama is going to be coming into this next fight with. You have another artillery, which Tiger is going to probably use on someone like Glacier, someone like Richie, maybe someone on like a Gogo, just to try to get rid of the Suzu pretty early on. And look, already out here, but you have Panopticon and AMER just coming up, and it's just going to go on to Richie yet again.
Oh, 100%. This is fascinating thus far. Obviously, we'll kind of see what ends up happening as we eventually are going to see. Trying to find something with the Panopticon. Doesn't get a whole lot, really, unfortunately. But still, you have a fight that's alive right now. Hugo staying alive, though, is massive and integral to keeping this one going, but sniped out. Richie finds him. Well, Richie is definitely getting pushed back. It's not going to be enough, and yeah, they'll take this over to map point and one away from potentially bringing us to a third map here.
Yeah, and so far, I've been impressed with Guatemala. Again, this is the first time we're seeing them, and they are doing, I think, a lot of things good. I'm surprised this Ryan is working, but I think it's really benefiting by the fact that Kokoron on the other side is playing this Domina, another slow-moving tank. It allows Glacier to not necessarily worry about the space the Domina takes. You have to be more worried about Takeda on that Vendetta, but you have Vito right there that could really, really help cause that Vendetta a lot of problems, but I like this play from Guatemala, just letting the window fade away.
Yeah, honestly, good call, ultimately. But points getting ready to unlock right here. Another Shatter ready for Glacier, by the way. You're going to see a really aggressive approach here. But Richie is down early, so now, depending on how you take it, could be rough. As Shatter comes through, it's going to catch on to one. But that one is done right here, as you should be able to take the point away. Glacier gets rid of a third right here. Gonna hope to get rid of more, as they're going to try to take the aggressive route around. It is going to cut off Conqueron, as they'll be taken down and the full wipe occurs.
You know, I don't see Ryan that often. I don't think you see Ryan that often anymore, Hunter. It's always interesting just because you have to remember what his perks are. And the Shield Bash perk has to be maybe one of the funnier ones that you can give Ryan. But Glacier, I think, turned that fight around because of the Shield Bash. And now Guatemala in a really good spot here. You have Beat, you have Death Blossom, Vito. Observers are watching Vito like a hawk, but it seems like the entirety of Panama might be watching them as well.
Yeah, I mean, scared. And honestly, I would be too right now. Beat's going to be used right here, as Vito's still hanging behind right now. He's waiting for the right opportunity. He's going to try to move on from the high ground, but again, immediately spot on the side. Nah, we're not dealing with this. But to be fair, you have to... Oh, Glacier slips below. He's taken out right here. I mean, Vito wants to pull this so badly. It's just not going to happen in this scenario. Instead, you're going to force your way back over the plate. Richie gets rid of one, though, but it won't matter. You should be able to pick it up coming through right here. You get this thing out to the 94, make it 95 position. So now it's still final fight territory with another Shatter around the corner.
And I think, honestly, if you're Marleo there, you should have stalled out the point. I mean, your team's on the other side of the map, and now you're just trying to rotate back around. You should have stalled out the point and just took the death there. Maybe you force something else out, get up that at 99, make sure you put yourself at a spot where if you all you need to do is win one team fight. But 95% still in that same spot, so I don't blame them for doing that. Glacier going in, you know they're looking for that Shatter. They just don't have it online just yet.
Yeah, in the moment of time, though, you see that aggression right here.
Oh!
Oh my god, Speedboost's gone. And now Vivo manages to go in and get rid of two. A little bit of cleanup comes through. And Dex, you said this would probably go to 3, but let me tell you, you are 100% correct. Guatemala is going to take this map away here. Conqueron's going to try to get back in time. It's not going to happen, though. Stunned away, destroyed, as we will head to map 3, and Guatemala looking pretty good.
Hunter, the script is right next to me on the desk, so...
Stop it.
But no, I think this was a really good map here for Guatemala. Panama, I don't know how the first map went down. I don't know if it went all 3 points or was just a 2-0 on whatever control map they played. But again, I think you don't see Ryan that often anymore. I think there's probably some teams and some players who just aren't used to Ryan playstyle anymore. And granted, I might be shooting myself in the foot with that statement, but you just don't see Ryans. Yeah, you see the respectable Ryan 1v1s in quick play and maybe some comp games, but it's just something you don't see that often anymore. I think going up against the Domina might actually end up being one of Ryan's better face-offs now with a lot of the new tanks that have been added, just because Domina wants to play this slow, kind of long-range playstyle because they are a poke tank, but once they get close quarters, yeah, they have the shove, they have their E ability, but Ryan doesn't necessarily care. They can swing the hammer. They can do the fire strike. They can charge you into a wall. I think it's one of the Ryan's better face-offs there, but still, I think we saw a lot of good plays come out there. Vito at the end had a couple nice plays. That support line for Guatemala as well. I mean, Hunter, that was a good first introduction for me and you to this Guatemalan team.
Yeah, because, again, one of the teams that maybe we didn't know so much about. I mean, going into this in general, I'm not even talking about going into the year. I think going into this, knew a couple of these players, but out the gate, I think looking really good against Panama. Again, I saw that first map, like, kind of bits and pieces. It was pretty back and forth. Panama ultimately took it away. But Guatemala looks great in this instance, and now they take it to the 1-1 territory. And again, considering where we're going right now, if there's a very real reality one of these teams goes out of today being 2-0, which would be massive for either one of them.
It would be huge. It really would be. It would give them such a big boost of confidence as well, with only 6 more games left to go for them. Like, they could realistically say, like, hey, we have the chance to put ourselves in contention on that final day to make it, which I think would be a big shock to a lot of people, especially as, I mean, we'll talk about other people's power rankings. I think me and you consistently saw maybe these two teams towards the bottoms of most of them, which is, again, something I don't think is necessarily fair, but again, it's people's opinions. And I think Guatemala, that was a really good showing. Panama, though, they could easily bounce back. We have seen this Panama team. We've seen them through a couple tryouts. We've seen them through a couple show matches. And every time we saw them, they seem to be getting better and better and better. And now they have their first loss. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond to that.
Yeah. It's insanity. It's going to be really interesting because, again, we talked briefly before about the other games that we have throughout the night. One more set of games is left after this one. That's Ecuador taking on Guatemala, and then Honduras taking on Panama. So it's going to be really fascinating how that's going to go down because, there is a very real reality one of these teams ends up being 2-0 to put them in that same classification as a team like Chile. And no matter what you want to say, going into that second day, being 2 already, that's a boost of momentum. That's a boost of confidence right there that we have seen teams in esports, in regular sports, have that and carry on forward like no tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now, if you're Panama, you kind of have to let that map go. We don't know if Guatemala played the Rhine in map 1 at all, but I have to assume they didn't. I'm going to take the guess and assume they did not play the Rhine map 1, so it caught them off guard in map 2. And I think, again, especially with Guatemala making that map pick, they picked it for a reason, and it was probably to have that Rhine work. Again, after that first point, I kept on saying this Rhine's going to find less and less value, but I'll give Guatemala a lot of credit. They made that Rhine really work well, and even made me a little bit of a believer on it, mostly, or for the most part.
Yeah, no, 100%. Again, you know me. I love my run comps. I love running it down main, seeing what happens.
You love your tank comps.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's a good point as well. But I especially love the Ryan stuff. And at the end of the day, being able to see it, and honestly, see it ran successfully. That's a whole different conversation right there that I love to see. And obviously, we'll see what it goes to when it comes to our last map for this series right here, because again, you take into account you just saw the Rhine. I don't know how many selections you have, but I'm guessing you try to take this to a Gibraltar if you can, because there's no way you want to have to deal with that twice.
You can definitely see teams force it if they think it's going to be the best chance that they are going to win. But at the same time, with that being our second map, there's still push, which I feel like a lot of teams are kind of gravitate towards. There's still hybrid as well, which I have to imagine, because Hunter, did you ever see a map pool for this?
No. Let me see if one exists on the Faceit page. It might exist. Settings. So that's just like most of the maps. I think there is a big pool, but I'm going to imagine, because they probably knew the pool a little bit ahead of time, that much like when we do Faceit, there is like a stack of like 5 or 6 maps that only get picked. And I think that's potentially the same situation here.
No, I found the map pool. The map pool.
Oh, great.
So Control is Busan, Lijiang, and Oasis. We've mostly been seeing Oasis. We had seen Lijiang once tonight. Escort is Havana, Rialto, and Watchpoint. Hybrid, Blizzard World, Midtown, Numbani. Actually, no, they announced this. There's no King's Row in this, and I was really happy about that. Esperanza and Runasapi are the push maps, and Flashpoint, Atlas, and Surabasa. So there's no new junk in this map pool. So again, like you said, if you don't want to see the Rhine at all, I think their best moves would either be Watchpoint or Numbani. Outside that, I think those are maybe your only 2 map selections that you could go to here if you just want to make sure you don't see the Rhine again. Yeah,
no, 100%. It's like you can just choose to not deal with it, and you can still go down a map that kind of allows for the brawl as well, because without the Rhine, that comp does not work. You could try with a Ramatra, you could try with a Zarya, with a Joker Queen. It's not the same. Rhine is very unique for very certain reasons.
Yeah, and sorry for cutting you off, but someone in chat just reminded us that Panama played a Bastion that entire map.
That is true.
It didn't seem to do anything against that. Thank you to that person who brought that back up. That Bastion, you have to remember, anytime they use an ult, they weren't focusing on the Rhine, they were focusing on the Soj, they were focusing on the Curie. I feel like the Rhine should maybe have been the one that they were focusing on a little bit more there, which was a very interesting choice, but it kind of shows you that maybe they were just thinking, hey, if we get rid of someone on the DPS line, the Rhine won't necessarily be that big of a deal.
I mean, fair enough at that point, honestly. But to be fair, you try to get rid of it, it just doesn't work. And I think that comes down to Glacier just being really good on the Reinhardt, kind of managing that shield a lot. Because sometimes you will kind of just take that raw damage. Because if you can manage your shield well with it, you can take that raw damage while still being able to obviously kind of hang about and get that healing, build up the support ultimates more. It puts you in a good position right there. As we saw, it's on, yeah, you already showed me the pool, but it is on the Wikipedia page apparently. Didn't know that until now. That is fascinating to see.
I looked up I found the rule book.
You found the rule book?
I scrolled 7 pages down the rule book to find it. We're smart when it comes to this stuff. But again, I think if you don't want to see the Rhine, we already talked about it. Gibraltar, Numbani, probably the two you would lean towards. Outside of that, I mean, we've seen Flashpoint, so we're not going to see that. We've seen Control. You have Push, Hybrid, and Escort. Push, Hybrid, and Escort. I mean, Runasapi or Esperanza could be an interesting one as well, considering I feel like Dive's a little bit strong there, but you could just see teams kind of just hover around the cart the entire time and force to brawl. But eventually we'll see what the next map is. And again, for everyone who's kind of wondering when the other series is going to be starting, since it is 9 o'clock, well, there are 2 more series of the day, or 2 more series that will be going on, the final ones of the day. Both are featuring teams that are still currently playing in this series. So those last 2 series are both kind of waiting on this one to wrap up, and then we'll get going. But Hunter, you were right. We are going to be heading to Watchpoint Gibraltar for the final map of this series. And I think if you're Panama, this is a really good map, or a really good selection from them. Like we said, you just want to bring us somewhere where the Rhine really struggles to find value, unless it's being forced and you're doing Spitfire comps, which you could do. But I mean, right now I think you're seeing exactly what we kind of expect to see. Coqueron and Panama coming back out on dive composition, but you're not playing that normal dive support line. You have the Kiri Lucio instead, which I feel like this is one of the only maps where this support line necessarily isn't the best option on defense, but still, I mean, it's strong for a reason and finds its value.
No, 100% it does. So I'm excited to see what ends up going down here, because again, really impactful for both these teams so early into this weekend right here. It's going to be exciting to see, and Tiger's going out on the AMER, and I remember through some of those trials for Panama, Tiger absolutely, absolutely killing all. They tried, and to be fair, I love it. Why not?
I mean, they're able to find it the second time around. If they can find just one pick with this hog, you don't understand how valuable that becomes for Guatemala. And look, I like what they're doing here. I mean, we see this all the time. Defense teams just give up this card space because it's not that big of a deal, but Tiger finds Gotti go out. So, but still, Guatemala just gets pushed going.
Yeah, to be fair, with 30 seconds only in already, you already put yourself in a decent position when it comes to the push right now. Glacier stays alive as well, and now it's going to be Vito kind of taking over the high ground as well, so you're set up in a good position here, all things considered.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw Vito there. They're in that back line, so they're going to be able to get some pressure, but Glacier right back to it. They're going to just immediately get dove on by Coqueron, and now the entirety of the rest of Panama focusing in on them here. But still, you're building space, which is what you want to do. All you need is Glacier to land one hook onto the right person.
Yeah, 100%. That's all you need in this instance right here, but Vito having that advantage earlier puts him in a good position. Hook is going to miss, and Glacier is so desperate to stay alive. Eventually, is going to get a little bit more cared to hang up in there right now. As Vito, again, trying to find some assassinations on the top rope. Won't be able to do so, and that's a weird trade, all things considered, but you lose out on Tiger. Coqueron is still hanging around right here as you're trying to run around, but big hook over onto Coqueron is going to clear things out, and somehow this hall comp is working out fantastic to get things started.
Again, I feel like this Guatemalan team is just playing compositions you don't expect, and it's working for them. They're really doing a lot with just catching you off guard, and I think it's working out for them very well here. But right now, if you're Panama, you kind of need to settle down a little bit. You need to stop focusing in on the hog and focus in on, well, hey, getting rid of Gotta Go first is a good way to do it.
Oh, 110% it is right here. And Glacier, get rid of Conqueror again. It's such an interesting scenario to have to be in now. Vito does that, kind of go down in that instance, and now Glacier, whenever Glacier gets low, everyone's eyes kind of target inward right there, as Tiger is going to go aggro, and Glacier pulls them in, gets rid of them. What? And he's going to try to force him. What?
Okay. Finally Glacier dies, but it doesn't matter. Guatemala wins this fight. Kokoron, I mean, gonna try to trade it out, does find 2 there, but they're still alive, but I mean, okay, never mind. This fight's kind of in limbo right now, but Guatemala should be able to get a little bit more progress on this card.
Yeah, Conqueror is getting pushed back a bit, though, is eventually going to be able to pull the corner, get plenty of kills, could potentially be aggro, but oh, you see separation there from Richie. Lucky to still be standing, as you're going to miss out on that. Considering Rush is used, it's a bit of a... He just kind of forces everybody back, ultimately, as Conqueror is in really deep, and it should die here reasonably. Yeah.
And now, if you're Guatemala, go. That's your go sign. Kokoron, it went too hyper-aggressive there. Put themselves on their own. Oh, my goodness!
Oh, my God!
Hog in the year of our Lord 2026, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God, you can't be serious. And gets up to the top rope again. I would have, that'd have been insane right there. But it puts him in a good position. You have the override protocol alive, and it's going to be used here aggressively. Going to try to burn away Conqueror if possible. Gets pulled in, gets hit with that as well. But Richie does eventually go down. A little help from Cuba right there, as Gogo is just trying to hang around, but unfortunately, everyone should eventually be cleared around. It's just Marleo kind of hanging around with Glacier, and Glacier took the opportunity to walk out of there.
The biggest body in the game somehow escaping on their own is funny. I don't understand why they're maybe trying to go back into the fight, and you know, they're using that perk that gives Hog speed anytime he hits the rebreather to get out of dodge very quickly. But now you look at what Guatemala's gonna come back into this next fight with. It's only gonna be the whole Hog. Tiger's gonna have the override protocol, but again, Glacier has been hit or miss with these hooks, but when they hit, man, do they hit. However, Vito out early.
Yeah, 100% rough to deal with right there, but maybe that's enough right there. Pulling everybody back, you're making more and more space you have to deal with it. Oh, Conqueror!
Into the corner of shame.
Corner of shame is more than enough right here. Hook lands, doesn't get the kill immediately, but Marleo is going to eventually clean things up. 3:30 on the clock. I mean, for Gibby, that is a pretty respectable amount of time. Let's be real.
It is, especially for this comp that Guatemala is running. But again, I feel like people have been saying this for the past couple months. Hog has been quietly the mirror.
Oh my God, I love Overwatch.
But no, people have been saying this the last couple months. Hog has been like slowly and quietly just getting buffed, like patch after patch, to the point where I read something that Hog is now in the most usable state that he's ever been in.
That's crazy. That's the mine right there, and the pole goes back in. Well, Conqueror goes down as a result of that pole, and now door opens back up for everyone to keep moving forward. For Guatemala and Panama trying their darndest to stem the bleeding, but I don't know. You can only really do that if Glacier goes down.
I mean, but still, you just need someone from Panama to do something, and hey, someone's doing something. Zader finds 2 or 3. Make it. I'm gonna give it the 4 as well.
Yeah, that's insane right there. Literally just saw that Glacier wasn't dying and said, fine, I'll do it myself. Pulls the blade out for it. Honestly, worth it, all things considered.
And you needed that. That gets rid of essentially a minute off that time back from when Guatemala got the point initially. And now Conqueror barely being able to escape and see essentially the entirety of Guatemala chasing him.
Just gonna try to get out of there. You love to see it right there. I don't know. Actually, as B comes out right here, Marleo gonna let it out as well. Vito doesn't catch onto it though, and now, just paying into the corner. Cleanse is big right there though to keep things going, as Cuba's gonna stay alive momentarily, and Vito caught out with the override protocol. Should be able to put this to a rest, but Glacier's letting this loose. Is still trying to win here, pushes everybody off. They barely get touches on in time. You just kind of see everybody hanging around. Big pull though momentarily, as they just cannot finish it off. It's so back and forth, but it's not going to be enough.
No, it's not, but you're so close. However, whole Hog was probably the thing that you were banking on you to not only win the fight, but complete this round. Gotigu falling as well, not necessarily the best thing here, but you look at the ultimates for the Hog is gone. The mirror, it is being shattered as Malga coming out. You have essentially the wall of meat right now at tank lines for both sides here. Who's going to end up winning? I don't know, but you do see Kokoron coming up to that whole Hog here very, very quickly.
Yeah, pulse bomb, big
Oh.
stick right there on the Tiger. Another one coming through, and unfortunately, Kokoron Whole Hog is no longer existing right here. It's just down to Zader and Cubu trying to stall for as long as they possibly can, but stall it shan't be. 56 seconds on the clock for Guatemala, and if they can stop Panama from capping as well, they will win their first match of the weekend, and that is phenomenal.
Yeah, again, especially, I'll say it again. This Guatemalan team, we did not, like, coming into let's just look, last Friday, we did not expect to see this team in the Conference Cup. We thought it was going to be Nicaragua. That happened with them. Apparently, it was something where the application was not filled out correctly or completely, and Guatemala was able to get theirs in. Very quiet, though. Guatemala was very, very quiet. They announced their team literally 2 days ago when the teams got announced for this thing, for Conference Cup. And this is a really good first showing for them. Glacier going to be sticking with the Hog. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. But Vito going over to this Bastion as well. Oh, God, 100. That's going to be scary. That's going to be scary if you get hooked, because I imagine those two are going to be essentially attached at the hip throughout this entire round.
Oh, 100% they're going to be. God, of course. Glacier's going to pull somebody in. Vito's just going to burn them to bits right there. It's going to be tough to deal with. And poor Kokoron's going to probably try to dive immediately over onto this little high ground and just pull them to death. I don't want to see it. You can't make me look, but I have to look anyway.
They have to expect it, right? They have.
Yeah,
they know it now. They don't have to expect it anymore. They saw the Hog peek their head out, but do they see the Bastion? Bastion did take a little bit of damage. Vito did take a little bit of damage, so you have to know it. And look, Kokoron just going straight back to point. They don't want to deal with this again.
No. Yeah, let's go.
They're mirroring it. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I love this. I love this so much. And now, the thing right here is, you don't mind it, because now you can hang down here, and there's no one to really go down and contest you. And in fact, Glacier drops down to contest, and they somehow come up the winner, and they're going to keep pushing on forward.
I thought them. Okay, that was a hook. I thought them falling down right there was going to be the first mistake that we've seen from Glacier on this Hog this entire map, but no, they stay alive, and they're going to stay on the low ground. I'm surprised by that. I thought they would make their way back up.
Oh, I thought so as well, and now already made it gone, and what did I just witness with my own eyes? Glacier nearly pulling Kokoron into death, but instead just going to be hanging back around. Vito still kind of hanging around over on this Bastion, nearly gets hooked by their own right, but it's Tiger who ultimately gets pulled into death right there, as Glacier's just more than happy to sit here for as long as Panama will allow it.
Tiger, though, make the swap off the Emery, going over to the Soj now. And I feel like this Bastion for Vito, as long as they're on this high ground and Glacier's on this low ground, can almost play free. No one's going to focus in on them because they're just going to try to get rid of the Hog instead.
No, I mean 100%. No doubt in my mind right here. Now, you go in. Around Hazard, he's interesting right here. You're trying to find some kind of separation right here, but Kokoron's just going to have to drop down and focus on making a little bit of space right now. Vito close to going down. Will be given the cleanse just in time as speed boost down. Again, makes things really awkward here for Panama to really do a whole lot in this instance right here, and they're continuously getting pushed back around. Eventually, everyone forced into the corner. Override protocols here, but, you know, he might get rid of Kokoron to get double ulted.
Unfortunate. If Glacier can somehow get out of this, it would be impressive, but they're not going to be able to. I think this is going to be Guatemala giving up this first point. I mean, Vito does have the artillery, so they could try to buy some time for Glacier to get back. And you're not that far away from both your support elements. I mean, you have a chance here if you're Guatemala.
Oh, no, 110% you do, and the play is going to come online, trying to make some more space. Xander hit a big one earlier for a 3-piece, and right now seems to be helping their team for the time being. But Vito has gone around, turned it around, has gotten rid of 2, pulled in. They're going to clear it out somehow, some way. They end up holding on to that one.
I mean, just good plays all around from everyone from Guatemala to get back to the point, stall it out. The artillery forced out a lot of stuff early on there. You saw the Suzu come out from Kubo just to kind of keep Kokoron alive there. But now you still look over at Panama. They're in a good spot here. They have beat, they have overclock, they have downpour. Well, Guatemala has nothing here. This is still a good opportunity for Panama to get something here early. Hook, though, I think landed on someone, but just not able to find the kill.
Yeah, not quite able to right now, but still high pressure here right now as Beat going to be used. The aggression is going to be coming through right now, and unfortunately, nobody retouches because Glacier is off elsewhere, and everyone else is just kind of cut off. So no matter how this fight goes, it will be more breathing room from Panama to keep this thing rolling.
And if you're Panama, you gladly take that. You just need something to go your way this map, as everything, especially with Glacier playing this hog and making it work very well, was just, surprisingly, was just doing everything for Guatemala. Coco Run, though, I think they made the right swap here this time, going over to the hazard. A lot of sustain. You have the wall. You just have so much on this hazard to be able to shut down the hog. And especially going up against when it was the mirror, I always kind of thought that maybe it's not the best thing for the person who hooks first, as I think Coco Run just got hooked.
Yeah, that's literally, that is crazy. But the fight's going to continue, and they're just clearing out bodies once again. But even though you're going to lose this fight, take into account how much progress they made off of that one fight.
Yeah, but again, this is a lot like these first 2 points are kind of a play the exact same. You're okay right now if you're the defending team giving up that space, because that cart's going to roll back a decent amount before you see them really just go and get a contest on it, unless they're just going to try to play cart, which is something that Panama could really do here, but they don't have the ultimate to really do it just yet either. While Guatemala, on the other hand, they're about to have 4 in this fight.
Oh no, 100%, and now, yeah. Glacier, buddy, that is rough right there, but Zader just go down close to that blade. So now things not quite as perfect, because Glacier should be back in time to take place in this next fight.
Yeah, but Glacier going over to the Rhine now, going back to it. Vito going to buy some time with the artillery, as you see everyone just kind of scatter, and they focus straight in there on Tiger. Not going to be able to find them, but I think this Rhine,
oh my god,
going to find the value pretty early.
Yeah, that's insane right there. Yeah, just going to go clean out house right here. And honestly, you don't hate it. You're going to surrender a lot of these high grounds over to Conqueron right here, but I don't know how that doesn't go through. That was, I don't know how that doesn't connect.
What? That had to be like a spectator bug or something, because it looked like Zader just kind of morphed through the Reinhardt right there. But I mean, you look at Guatemala now. They still have 3 good ultimates, but same thing could be said for Panama, as they're going to come up to 4 here very quickly. And you're looking at the same situation that we saw on that first point. Guatemala, they kind of need to hold on to these just to be used whenever Panama decides to throw out an ultimate.
Yeah, early beat, by the way. Consider Russia's use. Vito's cut off, and now Marleo has to make a difficult decision to let this beat go. Almost doesn't get it out here, as they're still trying to cut down some bodies. Eventually going to be able to get rid of Marleo. But now, you've lost on Conqueron early. Glacier's going to come in here and have all the defense in the world to work with. I don't know if you can win this fight. In fact, you definitely can't.
I mean, Glacier's going to try to hold this down as long as they can, but speed boost, yeah, they're not going to be able to do anything.
Oh my god.
Again, the shield bash perk is just so funny. Good tech coming out there from Glacier, just missed it that time. Yeah, buddy, just take the stairs.
Oh,
okay,
hey!
you know what? Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm, especially with the speed boost there from Marleo to get them up. But now Consideration invested early by Kubo. Downpour?
Yeah, that downpour,
wait,
did not work out. They barely get there with a fifth of a meter left. Bodies need to stay on. Glacier and Vito are both low, as Shatter now around the corner. Glacier, Shatter goes through. It's going to catch on to only one, but one might potentially be enough here. It's just Conqueron and Zader still hanging around, and eventually their lives will be extinguished right here. Guatemala is going to take the win on their opening series right here and look fantastic in the process.
Yeah, really good here for Guatemala. And again, a surprise for us here. Again, we didn't know anything about this team coming into it, but man, did they really impress us. Or same could be said for Panama. We've seen Panama a couple times, and we're always impressed with the progress they're able to make time to time, even though those show matches and the scrims that we covered for them didn't necessarily end their way, but they got better and better every time. And I think, again, I really do think the Hog, I think Glacier caused so much, like, just confusion. You don't see Hog, you don't see Ryan, you don't see those tanks anymore. And normally, if you do, you just immediately say, oh, they're throwing. But no, not this time around. Guatemala finds a huge victory here. I really am going to say huge, because they dropped that first map. You have to remember that. They dropped that first map against Panama. And Panama, I don't know how well they played that first map, and I don't know what they saw there from Glacier, but they were able to shut it down enough to win it. And Panama had their chances. They had their chances. These final 2 maps, I just think you saw excellent play come out from everyone in Guatemala to be able to win these last 2 maps.
Yeah, 100%. That is absolutely incredible. And now the instance that we're at right here, there's only one more set of games to go on through the night. And as it turns out, we're going to be watching a little bit more of this Guatemalan squad moving forward, because the last match that we have that we're covering is them taking on Ecuador. Meanwhile, over on the B's stream that's going on, Honduras is taking on Panama. Teams that both ended up losing their opening match. So both these games extremely important in their own right, because going into, you know, the second day being 0-2, that's going to create a very rough situation. That's going to be, again, very difficult to come back from.
Yeah, especially if you are Panama, knowing that knowing that, I mean, you've played Guatemala, which was a team that was a lot of question marks for a lot of people. Honduras is a team that you probably have a favorable matchup against, but you still have a lot of the teams. Like if we go back to the first series of the day with Chile, Costa Rica, Argentina, and Puerto Rico, we said like those are potentially 4, maybe the best 5 teams in this tournament. You still have them in these next 2 days if you're Panama. So you really want to be able to win this game against Honduras. Right now, though, if you're Guatemala, I think you feel confident. I think you're going to be able to carry a lot of swagger into this next game against Ecuador, who, again, had their pop-off moments. Rainy Day looked incredible, but you need other people to start showing up for Ecuador in some of these fights or some of these maps to be able to kind of help Rainy Day out, because we saw it there. Glacier could really start to form a little bit of a gap, if you want to say that.
I think that's very right to say in a situation like this. I'll be honest. I think that's very fair to say, because that is the scenario we ended up entering ultimately, right? Is that Glacier kind of started taking over the lobby more and more. Forced the tank swaps to coming through as well. That's another thing that is really important to bring up. Brought out things like the Reinhardt, like the Roadhog, just to force things a very particular way, and it ends up working out. Because I talk about adaptability being a really big thing in Overwatch. Another really big thing is making the opponent play your game, and I think that's kind of what ended up happening to Panama, and I think they tried making corrections. I just think it became a too little too late situation, to the point where Guatemala just felt so confident in what they were running that they just never looked back.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw it there when the Roadhog mirror came out there towards the end of Guatemala's attack, and it worked a little bit for Panama. They were finally starting to get some momentum. So what did Guatemala do? Okay, let's just go Malga. We'll just be burning the Hog the entire time, and Hog won't really be able to hit the rebreather enough to keep himself sustained throughout all that. It worked out very well. I'm surprised that Panama didn't necessarily show us the Malga on their own attack when the Hog was still very much working against them.
Yeah, 100%. The Hog ended up going kind of back and forth once we kind of saw both out. To be fair, in Year of Our Lord 2026, we saw a Hog mirror.
A Hog mirror.
We talk so much about this region right here.
We love it.
We love it. We see stuff like this more often than maybe any other region that we ever cover with like North America, EMEA. We love it so immensely. Like, my God.
Most fun region in the world. We just need the rest of the world to realize that.
Yeah, I'll bring up, is there a tank we haven't seen today from these teams? From like every team we've seen today?
We've seen Ball. We've seen Doom.
We saw Ramatra. I'm going to look at the list of tanks really quick, but I'm pretty sure we've seen every tank today, haven't we?
We saw Hazard, so yeah. There's definitely one I'm just forgetting of.
We saw Queen earlier, because Key was playing Queen.
Yep.
I think the only one we haven't seen any bit of right now, I think, is Orisa. I think Orisa's the only one.
Yeah, Orisa's the only one we haven't seen yet.
Which is weird, because that's like one of the biggest tanks of the whole South American region.
Yeah, I was going to say, when me and you first started covering this one, a lot of the South American teams, especially in FACEIT, were playing Orisa before the rest of the world kind of caught up to seeing Orisa was meta there for a little bit. But yeah, that's been the only tank we have yet to see. We've consistently, I think, seen about the same supports. I'm surprised we haven't seen Wu Yang out here. I think Wu Yang's actually in a really good spot right now. Haven't seen the Cat either, but not necessarily the biggest surprise there. But I think outside of that, we've kind of seen what we expect to see. But right now, we're waiting for our final series of the day to get started on both these streams. On this one, we'll be focusing in on Ecuador as they take on Guatemala. Guatemala looking to end a 2-0. Will only be the second team to say that. Chile is the first one, as they have already finished their 2 matches of the day. Ecuador looking to bounce back from a a loss to Peru, as Peru bounced back after I'm not gonna say a soul crushing loss to Chile, but a really close back and forth loss to them.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of an unfortunate situation, you know, given everything. But obviously, there's the opportunity to fight back. There's an opportunity to end the day on a good win, which it's the same confirmation we had about Peru earlier. They lose a really unfortunate one, they bounce back, get a good win, and they can go into tomorrow with some level of confidence and momentum. Getting any kind of win here will do that for you. In Guatemala, you can already claim that that could be the case, but if Guatemala is one of the only 2 teams to be undefeated going into the second day, that is really, really massive. Because, like, the game they're starting on tomorrow, they go against Honduras starting tomorrow. And then after that, that's when they start getting into those really tough games closer to the end of the day. So there's a real possibility with the way things are, they could be going into like 3-0 against a really tough team. And again, who knows what's going to happen in that instance?
Yeah, and it could definitely be something where these competitions that we saw Guatemala play throughout the 2 maps that we saw them play already could definitely be like their calling card. They play just stuff you don't see anymore, so it's really hard to necessarily get prepared for it, because what we saw there was, hey, they could play Ryan, they could play Hog. I imagine they probably have some other tanks that they could play in their back pocket that's completely different. I mean, I think that's gonna be really, really fun to see, especially whenever the series gets started here, because it really did seem like when Ecuador played Chile, they were sticking mostly to the meta, sticking with the Diva for the most part, a little bit of Zarya there, I believe, but it was mostly Diva that came out from them.
Yeah, no, 100% it was. So obviously, we'll be fascinated to see what kind of goes on from, you know, here on out, given everything that we know. But with that being the last series of the night, again, there's that other series with Honduras, Panama as well, which we'll do our best to keep our eye on, but obviously we're going to be very primarily focused on Ecuador and Guatemala. But I will say, Dix, I'm gonna give you a bit of a responsibility here, sir.
Oh no.
So I've had to do it a couple times tonight, so you're going to do that. I have an empty bottle of water, so I'm going to leave you to entertain the audience for about 45 seconds. How does that sound, sir? How does that sound?
Yeah, I'm going to leave you to do that when you come back.
That's absolutely insane, but I appreciate it. All right, take it away, Mr. Tron.
Yeah, I mean, so far throughout the first night of the Conference Cups here in the Americas region, I think we've seen a lot of good performances from a lot of the teams that we really expected to. Peru, 1-1. I think you can be really happy with that. They went up against 2 tough teams. Getting that win against Ecuador, like Hunter said, gives them some momentum going into day 2. Chile, though, I think a lot of teams, especially when we look at how people are ranking them with power rankings, I think they had them a little bit too low. I'm not going to say I didn't rank them, so I'm not necessarily going to say much more about that, but I think everyone was kind of sleeping on Chile. Argentina, I think, was the favorite for a lot. They get a victory in their one match of the day earlier on when they faced off against Puerto Rico. I believe that was the case. Puerto Rico still has one more game. Actually, they don't have any more games today, but they do play 3 games tomorrow and 4 games on Sunday. So that's going to be a very tough thing for them. The teams that play 2 games a day actually are able to evenly split up with 3 and 3 in the final couple days. So that's going to be something very favorable for them. But you look at these last couple games, Honduras, this is their second game. They went up against Costa Rica earlier tonight, lost that one, looking to try to bounce back against a Panama team. Like I said, that game over on the beach, and I imagine someone will be covering it here on Twitch. It should be a really interesting game because both those teams, I think, aren't necessarily happy or necessarily expected to be 1 or 0-1 going into their second game of the night. So they're really going to be looking to bounce back, because you do not want to be a team with 0 wins going into day 2, knowing that you probably still have a lot of your tougher games ahead of you in this region. Asia, though, for that Conference Cup, starts at some point here tonight, at least on the East Coast. It'll be early in the morning. West Coast, I believe it will be just midnight. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably dead wrong. But heading into our final matches of the night, like we said, we're going to be covering Ecuador and Guatemala. Should be a really, really good series. Guatemala really impressed us in that last couple of maps that we saw against Panama. Ecuador, I think they were starting to put together against Peru, just weren't able to get really well together, because they did have some really strong starts to a lot of the points on Sarabasa, but weren't able to finish them. I think they need to finish some fights and some points this time around.
Yeah, they absolutely have to. So it'd be fascinating to see what they kind of bring to the table in the situation, because we talked about, I don't know if you've seen chat, by the way. I feel like we have potential fans of a certain player coming up in this game, which we'll talk a little bit maybe more about later. Dex has unsubscribed from the chat. Very fair,
what?
honestly.
No. Okay, I'm gonna take 15 seconds to get my water.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I take over in this instance now. I get to take over. I have the power once more. One thing I want to do, because whether or not Wikipedia is going to update at some point, I would love to like make an actual settings of the results that have happened so far. That'd be really nice because I don't think there's anything that exists for that quite yet. So that's my goal currently. Is actually I'm kind of working on that right now of getting the results of all these games, just so like in my head it's like, hey, I know how all these games went down. I know what to expect, so I'm hoping that I can kind of just take care of that here and now. That way, don't have to worry about it after this, because I want to be able to keep track of it. Dex, I want to be able to keep track of these games, because right now there's technically no thing keeping track of it that's updated, so I'm going to do it myself.
You have to imagine that there will also be, you hope that there's an official standings put out at the end of the day here by OW Esports. And I mean, if not them, I would imagine Senju or a group of Senju will probably have something, as they have been a big promoter of this, especially in the Americas region, as a lot of these teams are Central American or Latin American teams, where that is kind of their like bread and butter, like teams they really do root for.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping so as well. Obviously, I know they're kind of covering their own games right now, and obviously they're waiting on their last one to start, just like us, as is everybody who's doing this, by the way. Shout out to everyone who's come out and doing this, by the way. Like high key, like people, like even people like in our camp that we really have a lot of other people around the scene that have kind of been supporting it. That to me is massive ultimately, because something we have wanted from the very beginning is to have more eyes on all these players, and that exists today. That exists these next couple days, and hopefully it exists more in the future. I'm gonna start crying, Dex. I'm gonna start crying. I can't believe it. They're all growing up.
Yeah, but I mean, I imagine we're gonna be getting into the game here soon for our final couple ones of the night. It's been about 10-15 minutes for these teams, so I imagine at this point they're getting in lobby, they're getting those bans in. We're gonna be heading into our first map of this final series here. I honestly, ever since we started, we're still kind of on track. If you consider that the first the first series was delayed by 30 minutes, so I believe that we are going to be wrapping up probably around 10:30 at this point. But again, Busan, Lijiang Tower, and Oasis, we've been seeing a lot of teams kind of gravitate towards Oasis, which has been a really big surprise considering Lijiang is in the map pool. But that's been one thing me and you kind of noticed about South America when it comes to the map pool and just the maps in it. Normally we see them kind of stray away from Lijiang a lot of the times, go over to something like an Ilios, a Busan. Busan is in this map pool, which I'm surprised we haven't been seeing more of as well. Oasis, though, has been like the mainstay starting map for a lot of these series. I think only maybe one, potentially two, have started on a different map. But Hunter, why do you think that's the case here?
That is fascinating to see. I'm going to keep it a buck, sir. I zoned out because I realized that the other game started. So if you could repeat the final point, I'd appreciate that greatly. Yeah,
so other game is starting here. You just want to cover that one until our game gets started?
The thing is, we did it last time, and I had to scramble, and I don't know how I feel about that. We could,
Fair
though.
Enough.
I mean, I can pull.
Let's not. Well, like, why do you think we've been seeing a lot of Oasis here tonight so far? As I say, that Honduras and I'm blanking, in Panama are starting off on Lijiang. Why do you think we've been seeing a lot of Oasis so far tonight?
It's the same situation that we haven't faced it, honestly. Let's keep it a buck on that. Because we have a particular map pool that comes out, and obviously these players scrim them, and they tend to come down to like one in every single map type that is like, hey, this is kind of the one that everybody plays. We scrim this all the time. We feel most comfortable on it. I think like this is an instance right here, because we don't know how long these players have had the map pool for. We don't have that information. Maybe they've had it for 2 days. Maybe they've had it for a month. We don't know. But in my mind, it's because, hey, everyone just started scrimming against Oasis with each other. They just got used to it, and it's pretty much like maybe almost like a handshake of, hey, we know this map, you know this map, we've all practiced it, let's just play it and go from there. That's my biggest running theory.
Yeah, and you have to imagine a lot of these teams, especially in the Americas region, who are a part of this conference cup, they have done probably a lot of scrims, a couple of show matches that have been streamed, but probably a lot of scrims behind closed doors with each other. So they probably all decently know enough about each other. And that's one thing we came into the night talking about, how a lot of the players in this region and in this conference cup across all the different teams are honestly really good friends outside of this. Like, we talked about it a little bit earlier when we were covering Chile and Costa Rica, where I mean, just the amount of talent that has come out from those teams that are now in collegiate in America here is just impressive. And considering they all kind of know each other by playing on some FACEIT teams together, is really, really nice to see.
Yeah, no, it has been so amazing to see. So obviously excited to kind of going forward as to what the case is going to be, because no matter what out of this, I'm really excited to be able to kind of like see how this develops going forward, because I think we saw like a lot of the FACEIT teams that existed and some of the players that are involved there, and there are some new faces that we've seen in some of these trials already that are coming back for the first time in a while to play on FACEIT teams, which is really exciting ultimately. But no, I'm excited to see what will come from that. Right now is that first round is done pretty quickly right there, as Rico's someone that we got to see, like, I feel like more briefly than we would have desired. Honestly, maybe one of the strongest players on that team. Like, I don't think that's a hot take at all. Has looked phenomenal in the past.
Yeah, I honestly think for the most part, Honduras has a sneaky good team. It's just the unfortunate thing is, I think a lot of people just don't know this team enough. No. And I not getting off to the start they were really looking for here in their first series of the night, but if they can win the second one again, you could, I think, see them potentially having, like, I call a lot of these team dark horse teams, but I really do feel like you could see a lot of these teams necessarily just have those moments of like, or have those games where they could really surprise a team that maybe some people think should be in that top three.
Yeah, 100%. At this point, I'm gonna keep the other game up and make sure, but I am just gonna put this game up. Like, I thought it started really quickly, so we'll just do it for now. But the moment the other one starts, we're going to swap over, so everyone keep that in mind.
And I will let you know when it starts.
That'd be awesome. Hey, but either way, we're in this one, and things are opening up very well, you could say. We're going to see eventually might be taken over as Panama is in here. I think one thing to talk about again, as we're going to talk about Panama earlier, is opening, who is very well known for that wrecking ball on this team.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think you're not really seeing a lot of wrecking ball, because I believe there's a bug with wrecking ball right now where anytime you roll into someone, no matter what your speed is, you just get stopped.
Yeah, I saw some instances of that online. Wasn't the best of things to see, to be honest. But right now, hey, I guess you're not too mad about it here, as you're still kind of making things work with the D.Va. You're in a 4v4. Losing out on self, though, does make things pretty difficult. Even if you are losing out on a healer, you still have Cuba, who can kind of put in a bunch of work and get a lot of healing done. But eventually, you are going to start running out of resources to work with right here, as Zader has two that they would love to get rid of, but has to get out of there and have to kind of just back out with the rest of the team and sustain and stay alive. Because if Zader was to go down there, it would just be a bum rush right here to get things going here for Honduras. But no one wants to go down here. But eventually, with the mech coming loose right there, Dex, we should see this one come to an end eventually. But Tiger gets one before getting cut down, as somehow, some way, they stay in this one, as Self is going to clean up some bodies, keep the thing trucking forward.
Yeah, I think if you're in Honduras here, you just needed that. Even though you lost Rag out early, it was fine. You had the ultimates to really kind of carry you through that fight, but now you're going to be a little bit of a disadvantage, as Panama's going to come back in with the Blade, with a Consumer Rush, with a Beat. So they have a lot of stuff here very early. But at the same time, you can look at Honduras. They're going to have a decent amount here. I mean, again, I think I just contradicted myself, but already beat out from Benja here, as so is the Tectonic Shock.
Yeah, and that's a really quick cleanup right there. But take one thing to note, that point flips over while that happens right there.
Series starting.
All right, cool. All right, we're swapping over immediately, ladies and gentlemen. We love this game, but we also love the game that we set out to do in the first place. So we're headed directly over, as, yeah, we'll keep you updated on that game. Again, if you want to go watch it, Group will send you, is doing that game as well, so you can go watch it over there if you desire to watch both. But right now, we're focused on this one, our last series of the night, Guatemala taking on Ecuador. Guatemala, a potential chance to leave this day being 2-0.
I think Kirby heard us. They hovered Orisa for a brief moment. What? Okay, quick thing. Time check.
Yeah, time check. Let me change weather really quick. We are at 8, 7, 6.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, great. Lovely. Lovely.
Two very different comps coming out here for these two teams. Pure dive for Ecuador, while on the other side, Glacier's coming back out with the Reinhardt, which at this point, I'm going to believe they can make this Ryan work no matter what. Vito as well. This Reaper that we saw worked very, very well on Atlas, and it's going to work very well in what Mr. Kirby is playing here. With this Reaper, it's going to make it very, very hard to try to dive onto people.
It's going to make it extremely difficult to have to deal with right here, but you got to find a way to make it work right now. As you're going to be able to have a lot of sustainability on this point. By the way, another character we really haven't seen today is the Cassidy. Like, very little for that matter. But we'll see if it finds any inherent value. It already is, by the way, clicking bodies and heads as we speak, as there's a bunch of staggering going on the point. No one really wants to let it flip over right here, as Vito eventually needs to duck back down over on the point. Is in a bit of a secluded spot, will be kept up for the time being, but eventually cleanup squad is going to come through with a little help from Glacier, as yeah, Guatemala going to take that first fight away after a very lengthy one, and big pin onto Kirby to send them flying back.
And that's just something you do not need to happen right there if you're Ecuador. I mean, Glacier's been showing us that this Rhine is still very viable right now, at least in their hands. But you need Kirby to get out there alive for a quick re-engage here. And I think this DPS line for Guatemala is going to give a lot of problems over to the side of Ecuador, because you're going to have Vito, who's currently pretending to be a bush, and Richie, who can really shut down Rainy Day, who is the player that we talked about the most, is just being a problem.
Oh, 100% has been a real big problem right now. Is going to help clear out even more bodies here. And as you can see, yeah, Kirby just going to have to bite it right there, take the reset once more. And that's, well, that first fight took forever. That one, definitely a lot quicker.
The duality of a team fight, it can either be very, very long or very, very short. And that time it was short. However, you look at Ecuador coming in this next fight, really nothing online for them.
What?
Here. Rainy Day will have,
Wait, why not, ultimately? It gets rid of Kelly. Opens up big in this situation. Unfortunately, you're not even going to find a flip in the backline right there, as Rainy Day is in a situation, we'll call it.
They're not in a good...
Marleo? You okay?
They got hit by a car.
Oh, and Rainy Day still running. Is hovering around, is still alive somehow.
Again, people, don't play in traffic. But, I mean, Marleo should be able to get back pretty quickly, and you are coming up to ultimates right now. If you're Ecuador, you're going to come up to 3, maybe 4 in this fight, but you're going to have 3 ready to go here for Guatemala as they start off this fight with the Kitsune Rush.
Yeah, 100% copy. Burn away really quickly as Shatter comes through for good measure. He's going to catch one with it. Cleanse will come out momentarily as you're looking for a big pin. Instead, you find yourself a Soj. Why not? And now 93%. A retouch is just unrealistic at this point, as we maybe see it, but either way, that is a dominant start for Guatemala.
Yeah, and like I said, I thought this Guatemalan comp, it was going to cause a lot of problems for everything that Ecuador is trying to run here. I mean, Rainy Day, we talked about them being probably a standout from their series against Peru, where they're just able to find so much value, find a lot of picks early on in the start fights and at the end of fights. But you have Richie on the other side who, I mean, look at them. Most damage in the lobby by over 800. And granted, it's only to Glacier, who's second, but more damage than both the DPS players combined on the other side. Yeah, both the players, DPS players on the other side. It's going to be really, really hard for Rainy Day to fly around, especially when Richie's just hitting heads, and Vito, again, they could just sit in a corner if no one checks them. And you saw Vito punish Kelly dude twice or at least once last point.
Yeah, no, 100%. And now, not a whole lot of changes going to this one. Kelly Dud back over on that Sojourn. To be fair, had some really good moments, the kind of glimpses that we got to see in that earlier matchup that we had with Ecuador. But now, in a scenario like this, you need to find value with it, because you have a giant shield consistently trying to be in your face and not giving you as many opportunities to be able to find a lot of those headshots that, for Kelly Dud, turned a lot of those fights with Peru. But Kirby is, again, pinned away. And with the Winston down that early, this should be an easy flip. Or I should
and I love I love the charge there from Glacier. Granted, again, you'll take the charge however you get, but they charged him straight towards Vito, who really made an easy cleanup kill for them once Kirby actually hit the wall. And now this is an interesting spot for Guatemala. I mean, for Ecuador, as they're kind of split here, but you do see Kirby back in very quickly. And even with that being a fight victory there for Guatemala, they're not necessarily leading the ult charge.
Yeah, and again, you see this backflip trying to come through right now, and they might actually get it right here. And in fact, they do. But still, this isn't much more of a backflip. This fight is still going, but Richie gets a beautiful shot right there, and could be more than happy to help clean things up. And to be fair, it's 8%, but at the end of the day, I mean, is that worth it?
I mean, you'll take it. You'll gladly take 8%, however you can get. But now you're just giving it a lot more space here for Guatemala to get set back up with this composition. And again, I think you try to slow down one person, whether it be Glacier, you allow Richie to go off. You slow down Richie, then it's going to be Vito. You slow down Vito, then guess what? It's back to Glacier. It's very, very hard here. And you're looking for someone on this Ecuador team to really find something early on in any of these fights.
Yeah, you're hoping so in the situation because we're already at 50% and counting. You're coming up to that Deadeye, that Shatter as well, Kitsune Rush. You're struggling to get up to quite a lot of these big other ults right now if you are Ecuador. Now, Richie is eventually pushed back and taking away some of the sight lines, but you're still trying to force the flip over. You're trying to force some of these ultimates out, and the Deadeye will be the first one out right here, trying to force that speed and find somebody in the open, but no one exposing themselves quite yet. It's going to be thrown over onto the point. Goody close to going down, as it's going to be Kelly trying to find some bodies to take with him. But instead, it's going to be Rainy Day somehow getting rid of Vito. But now we're already in Final Fight territory. 80% on the board already. And even with this being their advantage right now, they're still struggling to take this fight away as Glacier is eventually going to be burnt away right here. But Richie already gets rid of two. Starting to clear some bodies out, hoping to clean this one up. Put him in a beautiful position. Gets the third one of the fight right here. It is all Richie. And with that right there, it is going to be all Guatemala, as no more touches will be coming. Kelly will try, but it will not work.
Yeah, Marlo gonna get the final kill of the map here, and I think Guatemala, Kirby almost getting back as well. But Guatemala, I think they figured something out against Panama, and they are just carrying it with them right now. They have a giant chip on their shoulder. Richie never died.
Oh my God.
Crazy. 17-0, most damage in the lobby, play of the game. I mean, my God. I mean, an insane map here. But like I was saying, it seemed like Guatemala, they found something. They really found something against Panama. Because you have to remember, they lost that first map. They lost the first map against Panama. That was a 3-map series. They're coming off of a very, very long series. Right there. And it seems like right now they want to make sure that this series is very, very short.
Oh, 100%. Man, that is a big display there for Guatemala, who, again, they get that comeback against Panama. And like you said, they figure something out here. It has clicked in their brain, and they could be cruising on forward to a 2-0. But again, you never know what's going to happen. Again, we saw Chile make their comeback earlier against Peru. We've seen it happen once today. It could potentially happen here as well. But we're still in a situation, if you're Guatemala, obviously you're confident right now. The last couple maps you have played between these two games right now have been pretty dominant. You have this really good ideology of how you want your comps to work, because I make a point all the time about different regions, different countries tend to play a different style. And for Guatemala, it is this quick style that you play with the shield, you run forward, and you make no hesitations about it. If someone can be killed, they will do their best to make it happen.
I mean, it wasn't really Glacier that much that time. I mean, we were talking about Glacier a lot in the last two maps that we saw him against Panama, but it was really just Richie. Richie was insane. I feel like anytime we saw the observers swap over to them, they very rarely missed. And some of them were pure flicks. I mean, especially that last kill, one of the last kills they had there on a rainy day, they hit that silver bullet shot. Essentially, what just seemed like, okay, they're trying to duck behind this wall. I'm going to just flick and see if I hit them. And they found the shot. I mean, my goodness, but just good performances there from Guatemala. Again, a team that we didn't know a lot about coming into the night, into this entire tournament, gets a really, really good victory against Panama. Now they're looking like they're going to get a really good victory here against Ecuador, but Ecuador still has some players that have some really good performances left in them, and they really need to start showing it now.
Yeah, 100% they do. So obviously we'll see with the second map moving forward what it's going to be. Because again, it is going to be selection for Ecuador in terms of what their map, where they're going to be in the bans as well. And apologies that there has been not really any ban coverage, as we do not have a direct route since it's technically not going through Faceit, so we can't see those scenes. But hey, things we can see going on, again, we still have the B stream going on as well. That Honduras game still going on over against Panama. And guess what, Dex? Honduras took that first map. And now they're getting ready to head into their second one. And again, this would be so big for Honduras. I think this was one of the biggest unknowns going into this, right beside Guatemala. And at the end of the day, if both these teams can come out with a win, and especially Guatemala potentially going up 2-0, that's really phenomenal. And I really hope these countries kind of end up on people's radars a lot more.
Yeah, I think throughout the people that are streaming this and all the people that are watching, I think you're getting a good idea a lot of these players right now, and seeing probably a decent amount of these players for the first time. Because while granted, there are some known names that do come from these South American countries and these Latin American countries or Central American countries, you're starting to see a little bit more of them as well. And just the play style, which has been really, really fun throughout the night. A lot of aggressive play style. I think these last two series, maybe, or at least last series me and you covered, not as aggressive as we've been seeing throughout the night, but still very, very aggressive.
Yeah, no, really aggressive as well. So it's gonna be fascinating to see where things kind of proceed from here. Again, it's phenomenal to see what these players can do. Richie, I think, was the biggest example. I know it never died, and that is what it is in its own right, but still was really impressive over on the DPS in a way that I don't think we got to fully see in the previous map we kind of saw them play on. And it comes out a lot more in this instance. So hopefully going forward, we'll see a lot more of that. But again, we do want to see fight back from Ecuador. A little fight back that we did see in that previous game against Peru. We want to see a little bit more of it here as well. Because ultimately, we want every team to be playing at their peak, their best performance possible. That's all we really want in this situation, is for everybody to shine as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now, I mean, Ecuador, I think the biggest thing was, and we talked about a lot in their series against Peru. I mean, even they were able to win some fights. They were able to get fights and close to getting some points off of them, but you're not seeing the performances from not seeing the same kind of pop-up performances. Rainy Day was a big standout to us that last map, or that last series against Peru. Maybe one of the only players was able to consistently find picks very early on, and they played that Echo again, which they looked very, very good on, but it just struggled into what we are seeing come out there from Guatemala. And yeah, we talked about Richie, 17-0, seemed to be hitting every shot that they shot out of the Peacekeeper, but still you need to see a little bit more from this team. And you can start at the tank line, you can start at the support line, you can start at the DPS player next to them, but you just want to see a little bit more team play come out from them, because it still kind of feels like they're trying to play a little bit on their own. Rainy Day, and maybe especially did show us a couple times in that first map that they would just kind of sneak around to the back line, maybe try to assassinate someone by getting all the sticky bomb shots on them and trying to get that focusing beam out, but it just didn't work as well as it did in their series against Peru.
Yeah, no, 100%. So it'd be fascinating to see. And I'm going to quickly make this off topic, Dex, because you did bring out the cat. And it is my distinction that the chat now loves the cat. And I know you don't want to talk to chat right now, but we do need to reveal the cat's name.
Yeah, it's Zay.
Zay. Zay, who is basically like the third caster, let's be real.
Hey.
Okay? Zay is one.
I'm surprised she's letting me hold her for this long, because normally she starts to get like a little antsy and just tries to normally she gets antsy, but apparently I'm doing something right. But it looks like Watchpoint Gibraltar are going to be our second map of the night. And Hunter, I don't know if Ecuador watched Guatemala play this map last time. Are they ready for potentially a hog?
Do they know? Is the actual question, is do they know? We're gonna find out in real time whether or not they know. As you said it before, Watchpoint Gibraltar going to be this next one, and for all we know, could potentially be our last map of the evening. For all we know, we never know ultimately. But we're getting ready to get into it. Regardless, we'll see if there's any change-ups coming through. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think was he not in the previous map, or am I crazy?
Yeah, Emiliox was not. It was someone else.
Yeah.
It was. I'm gonna try to pull it up here really quick. It was, Carnyorm. I'm saying that name wrong. But it was not them. I noticed that about kind of halfway through the second point that it wasn't Emiliox but at the same time, just the performances that was coming out from Guatemala, it was really hard to talk about some of the swaps that came out there from Ecuador that first map.
Yeah, no, 100% it was. So we'll see how things go forward here. Rainy Day is currently peeking over on that. Ooh, the Widowmaker. That is going to be fascinating to see kind of moving forward and what instance will happen here right now. But you said it before, do they know? Glacier brought out that Roadhog earlier on, and now he's bringing it out once more.
And Rainy Day immediately back over to the Echo. I think this is actually going to work very well against this, especially with Vito on this Bastion as well. I think the D.Va, I think right now this might actually be a good opportunity here for Ecuador to get back in the series. They have a comp that could really punish the Hog and the Bastion.
100% it can, and we'll see how well it ends up working out. And already it's pushing bodies back. It's making it difficult to really kind of hold down any presence on the point. And so far, it's a really good display so far for Panama to kind of get this thing rock. Not Panama, for Ecuador getting this thing rock and rolling. I'm stuck in the past, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, right now, I mean, a lot of Curry fans in the chat, you need to see something from Kirby here. They've had an okay series so far, but Glacier has just been very, very strong. Kirby goes right after Gadigu, not going to be able to find them out, though, but immediately turns right back over to Glacier, who, again, just hits the reed breather and is back up to full health.
Yeah, pulls Kirby right back in, who is now suffering. And this is going to be dematch. And now there's not a whole lot you can do there. Kirby's probably just going to have to, eat the death right there. And to be fair, given how much worse that could have been, that's rather merciful right there from Guatemala to give him such a quick death.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of surprised they did that. Now Marleo just kind of dancing away from Kelly Dude, who's getting away, but hey, that's exactly what you wanted here. You wanted Rainy Day to find something early on, and getting rid of Vito is huge because look at Kelly Dud now. They can kind of just spawn camp them.
Yeah, and now everyone's getting pushed back. Richie Solo is going to get punished big time for being up in there. Eventually, we'll go through Pulse Bomb, thrown into the mix. Somehow, someway, doesn't find a target, though. So now you get into this next fight. Consumer Rush is going to be available for both Kiris right around the corner here. Going to see that Hook not really get anything, though, as they don't retouch the point. So now, this fight proceeds onward. Consumer Rush is used pretty much for no reason, let's be honest. And now, that's a potential mistake right there.
Huge mistake by Guatemala. Maybe the first one we've seen them in 3 maps, basically. This just gives Ecuador every little bit of momentum that they desperately needed to get back into this series. I mean, yeah, you're coming up to all your other ultimates as well if you are Guatemala, but Ecuador, they still have beat. They still have their own Kitsune Rush. They have a bomb, and Kelly Dud should be able to build up to another Pulse Bomb. As remember, they already used one about a fight ago and are up to 85%. They can get that Pulse Bomb and just use it immediately here, Hunter.
100% they could, so we'll see what ends up happening here as trying to find something with the Artillery Strike is going to cause for a bit of damage. Not a whole lot at the end of the day, though, as Glacier still trying to make some room. But another instance of you take that first fight, you don't really lose anybody, and you get so much progression as a result of that initial fight. And now Richie is potentially looking for the Override Protocol moment here. But instead, Beat going to be used aggressively, moving through Pulse Bomb, ready to go, thrown in, somehow doesn't end up sticking over onto Vito, who is still in a rock on a hard place right here, but still a little cleanup coming through here from Richie, who's trying to finish this fight out right now. So close, but so far at the same time, as big pull right there, but big DM as well to keep Kelly going right there. And Rainy Day now with their own copy over here, trying to find a little something. Unfortunately, not really getting anything.
Yeah, and so far this has been exactly what you're looking for here if you're Ecuador. You've got a lot of momentum going your way. Kusina now out here from Zaya, just to try to get something going. Kelly Dud, again, this is exactly what I said. You need a lot more from this DPS line here, and it's working out very well for Ecuador so far.
Yeah, and biggest thing, you get the big cleanup there from Kelly. Wow, and I mean, Kelly's had some good moments, but that is a great one right there to clean up that fight. And the really bright side right there, Dex, is despite how low Kirby got, never had to use the self-destruct to remake.
Yeah, and now look over at the other side. Richie going back over to the Cassidy. Glacier off the Hog. Did not work this time around. Over to the Zarya and Vito. Back to showing us the Vendetta for the first time here. I mean, a full comp swap coming out here from Guatemala, especially with what Panama did against them last series. It took them, well, till about this point when they were attacking to swap over to the Malga, but I think the Zarya is a little bit better. But Kirby, I think, is just playing maybe their best map we've seen him play so far.
Oh, 100%. We'll see if that can kind of continue onwards to close things out over here. And again, the swaps are very fascinating ultimately. And to be fair, it's a question of, does it force Kirby to potentially swap later? That's the question.
I mean, until you get rid of the bomb, I don't think you do, but I think you still will take this matchup, even if you're Kirby. Even though you could just see Glacier do so much damage to you, I think you're really having a lot of faith in your supports right now. Emiliox and Zaya have been just doing so much.
Yeah, and I like this, taking the different angles, forcing everybody to kind of keep going back, and no one's really feeding charge into Glacier all that much either. That's a really big thing to know in a situation like this, where you're not really giving them the biggest opportunity to utilize all that damage as Zarya can, but still, we've been at a standstill for the last 45 seconds. This cart has not moved right here, and you're fine in this instance right now. If you are Ecuador, you figured something out here, and you see the hesitation that Guatemala has kind of given you now, I should say, that they're kind of having in an instance like this. So, Ecuador need to kind of just find their opening and move forward, and to be fair, a pick on the veto is a very fantastic way of being able to do so. Copy is going to be thrown out right here. Rainy Day goes over on the Zarya and is just going to be able to kind of keep clearing things up, make some more space for the squad.
And I mean, they're going to be able to get a grab off this. And yeah, no, they're going to be able to find Godigu and find Marleo, not who you want to see fall there, because now you've lost your speed. Guatemala going to need to quickly come back out. Glacier does have grab, but guys, the cart, push the cart.
Yeah, they're all going to get back in time, man. Oh, that's rough. Deadeye as well with the bubble gets pushed back as Pulsam nearly blows them up. Grab comes through a beat there online right there at the last second, causes for a little bit of a trade. Remember, that trade's gonna be so much better, but remember, with the bomb here still alive, you have so much more space to make. Everybody's forced away. Marleo is doing their darndest to hang on, but the point caps during that whole engagement. 1:38 on the clock here for Ecuador. Honestly, in terms of what we see from them, easily their best round of the night so far.
Easily, by far. And again, you talk about how good we saw Guatemala play on their attacking round against Panama. I think this was almost just a match there. I mean, look at the stat line here. Again, we talked about Curry was struggling, 16-1. Rainy Day struggling, 11-1. Kelly Dud, 14-0. I mean, we're seeing almost the exact same performance we saw out there from a lot of the members of Guatemala last map, from Ecuador that round there. I think that was exactly what they needed. They needed some momentum to go their way. I think the funniest stat I saw there was a Rainy Day with 4 healing. But I think, like, look, you can kind of see Guatemala. They've normally been very quick to pick their compositions, no matter what the map is, no matter what the map type is. They're kind of sitting there figuring out, like, hey, what do we do here? Because the Hog's not going to work. And you're not going to play the Mauga into this. And like, Moira
would be really fascinating. Let's be real.
It'd be really fascinating, but it feels like a little bit of an overreach there, just to try to maybe get some constant damage onto onto Kirby.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be fascinating.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. We'll see. As opening shot is gonna come through, as Kelly would love to find something, but I think maybe Vito knows the situation right now.
I don't think they necessarily did, as they were kind of poking their head out there a couple times. I mean, Kelly could have punished them there, but I feel like this Widowmaker, unless it finds value here early on, you might just see a quick swap, because if they die first, I would imagine the Widowmaker is also going to be going to the grave for a little bit.
You know, I would say so as well. It'll be fascinating to see as we kind of keep on trucking on forward here, but you're already making a really good amount of progress. In fact, you're already through the underpass already. You're already done so with that. And now you're already in like more than one fight territory. You're sitting beautifully to get things started, and you've kind of let this all go for free if you're Ecuador. In fact, you have to force your bodies on, and Kirby staying over on this deal, unfortunately, just isn't going to work out. I think you're going to see multiple swaps come here momentarily.
And Kelly gets their one, and that feels like just a huge mistake from Ecuador. After what was a very impressive round, I think you now just gave up all the momentum you had in one fell swoop. Really, you did. I don't know what the plan was there. And now you already see the swabs, Kirby going over to the Winston and Kelly Dud going back over to that Tracer. I just don't understand the play there. Yeah, you allow that defense, you allow the team to push up to the valley. You don't allow them to push up to basically to the checkpoint. It's just, I'm scratching my head.
Yeah, I'm a little bit too, because they're still trying this. And to be fair, the Winston is definitely an upgrade compared to the Diva in terms of what's happening. But this point has just been trucking forward, and there hasn't been a big priority in like putting a presence on it. Kirby's gonna dive this backline, boot away. He's gonna be lucky to get out of this engagement alive, but still, it comes down to Rainy Day and Kelly cleaning things up, but still another instance of them winning the fight, but still letting so much progress be given.
But this time, it's not necessarily the worst thing. They at least committed into the fight before they were at the checkpoint, essentially. But still, you got the plays, you got the picks you're looking for. Kelly Dutt and Rainy Day. You need these two to be really hot. You need them to never get cold, because you see what happens when they get cold. Guatemala was able to shut them down a lot last map because of it here, and Kirby put themselves in a spot where they're kind of just feeding a little bit of ult charge the other way, but Rainy Day almost getting rid of Richie there, and now duplicating into the Kiri.
Yep, and now that card is still progressing, by the way. They're going to be able to clean this up, as Kitsune Rush is going to be used with that copy right there. Should be able to find the full cleanup once more. But still, because of how that first round went, you win a couple of good fights, and that's great. But there's still nearly 4 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is, like, I always talk about it, and I've talked about it every time we've seen this map tonight. This is a hard point to push through, but with 4 minutes, you could just build up to every ultimate in your ult bank and say, hey, we can go now. And Hunter, look at Guatemala's ult bank. It's there. It's all there. Yeah, Ecuador is going to have 4, but the grab is going to be the biggest thing here because it's going to force out so much from the other side.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to see that grab come through. The beat there to sustain, but Zia unfortunately not able to stay alive. So now awkward scenario online here as Pulse Bomb sticks onto Richie as soon as the Override Protocol was used. And now, again, big shutdown going to come on the line as that 5.5 minute time bank that they had whittled down to 3 minutes, and they're halfway there to potentially holding them on the spot.
And I mean, they're doing everything right now. That was a pretty heavy investment from both teams there. 3 ultimates out from Guatemala, as I believe Gadayu tried to get the back cap on them, and we're seeing the Hog come back out. Glacier's showing us the Hog again. But still, you look over at the other side for Ecuador. You still have Primal Rage. You still have Kitsune Rush. Rainy Day. Again, this has been such a turnaround for this DPS line for Ecuador. I said you need to see better performances from everyone, and man, they have been showing us that so far. And Hunter, that time bank, now half of it is gone from the original time they had on the second point push. And if you're Guatemala, you're having to feel worried about this as you already lose Richie early.
Oh yeah, you are nervous as you could possibly rate right now, but Kirby is able to get rid of 2, keeping this one going. 2 minutes left over on the point, maybe try to find a cleanup, but they're going to take a late death here as Marleo going to be able to get out. But again, this has been a phenomenal hold here from Ecuador.
I feel like we're maybe 1 or 2 fights away from Glacier maybe going brine again. I feel like we're almost at that point. Yeah, but Ecuador, again, they look like a completely different team than what we saw against Peru and what we saw, especially that first map. And Rainy Day, again, finds Richie early, who's just struggling, and that Kitsune Rush.
That is
questionable use.
Yeah, it is literal insanity as to what is happening right now. 1.5 minutes left. Glacier back over on that Hog as well. As the Hog copy comes through, Rainy Day gets one of their own. They have to eventually run back to the point as Glacier is just going to get bullied into the corner. And now, 1 minute left on the board. They still have so many good ultimates. Like, you have double support going into this next fight.
Double support, and honestly, you could see Kelly Dutt and Rainy Day probably build up to another one of their own ultimates here. But you have Glacier, you have Marleo coming up to their ultimates here, so you're not necessarily out of it if you're Guatemala, but you really need to get something, and you really need to get something fast here because you're slowly starting to lose it. Richie now going over to the Reaper instead. It seems like they're grasping at straws here right now, but I mean, if the Reaper can work, but you missed the hook.
Yeah, that's rough, but now you're in a big room and you're hoping to get that hook. Again, you have the whole Hog available as well, hoping to find a victim at some point, but it's not going to be an easy thing to do in the scenario we're at right now. Kitsune Rush thrown across the point right there as Zia fighting for their life, and you're trying to run away as best you can. If you are Kirby, unfortunately, not enough Saint coming through. Beats there, but it's not going to be on time. You need to find a pick, and you need to find it fast to have any chance of pulling this one back. With Glacier going to clean up another is so incredibly low, but is going to get all the sustain in the world. And they're eventually going to pull this one out. Maybe Kirby touches one more time, but that should be it. But to whittle that down from 5.5 minutes to basically nothing is insane.
Yeah, and look at the time bank. It's gone. I mean, the huge mistake that Ecuador made that first point, you can just get rid of it. at this point. Yeah, it's still a huge mistake, one they should never commit again, but I mean, you have the time bank advantage already, and now Glacier going to be able to find Kelly Dud out. This is exactly what you're looking for here if you're Guatemala, but still, you allowed that 5-minute time bank you had to just fade away, and now you're hoping that you finish this before overtime.
You might be lucky in this instance, honestly, because again, whether it's overtime or not doesn't particularly matter. It matters with the time bank, but you get a chance regardless. But still, all this actually going on in the background. Glacier forced inside the room right now. Now everyone is kind of just running for it. Rainy Day somehow is getting out of this alive, maybe? Eventually will go down, unfortunately. But you're kind of fine with this as you get the pulse right over onto Richie. And Glacier, try as they may, is not able to stop this bleeding from coming through as that clock is just being burnt away further and further.
Do we start to see Guatemala come back into this one here? I mean, they're pushing the card again. They are coming up to 3-4 ultimates right now. Glacier going to be able to keep themselves alive, but you lose Vito. You need to start cleaning up some of these members of Ecuador who's just kind of harassing your backline, but Rainy Day gets the dupe and takes care of the person they just duped from.
Yeah, 100%, and now you get so many cleanups coming through here. Lose on the Lucio. Marlio can't get this online. It is a rush to the point to try to get somebody to touch this thing. I believe, yeah, the touch goes through as Richie is able to get rid of one. Still, you need more bodies to be able to follow up here. You do get there, but Rainy Day gets rid of two. Big old pulse bomb to kind of break down Glacier one little bit out of a time. No hog to save the day, and Ecuador looking their Sunday's best as they will take this to a third and final map.
And man, Ecuador, a completely different team than what we saw that first map. They looked lost that first map. I think you can just kind of flip the scripts here for both these teams. It looked like Guatemala was lost. Yeah, they're able to come back into it. But just look there. Kelly, dude, Mr. Kirby. Rainy Day, 18,000 damage.
What?
Hunter. An insane performance coming out from them. I mean, I talked about that. They were probably the standout from their series against Peru. You need them to have some standout performances, but everyone for Ecuador had those standout performances that map. I mean, we called everyone's name. We weren't doing that against Peru. We were not doing that in the first map of the night. I think Ecuador figured something out, and like we said, they brought us over to a dive map. And while we did see Guatemala not necessarily play dive against Panama and still make it work, this is a completely different team. Ecuador showed that right there, that you're starting to maybe see a little bit of a weakness for this Guatemalan team. Might not be able to play dive.
Might not be able to, but you do have the advantage in the situation of being able to go back towards something a little more brawl-oriented, keep the Rhine in the rotation, because you could do something as simple as go Saravasa, ban like the Roadhog or whatever, and protect the Reinhardt. I think that's a real reality, but if you're in that situation, do you just ban out the Lucio and get rid of the speed and the ability to even make a comp like that work as well as it does?
I mean, honestly, if you're Guatemala since you will have first ban, I think you ban out the Echo. I think you ban out the Echo. I think you want to try to slow down Rainy Day, because when Rainy Day hasn't been playing the Echo, we have seen them be a little bit different. And I think that will really allow that Hog, will allow the Rhine to have a little bit more freedom there. And you're okay with, I think, Ecuador at that point banning out one, because we've seen both the tanks be problems for the teams tonight.
Yeah, we legitimately have. So obviously, we'll see how that goes with this last map of the night in the series right here. There's still another series going on that, guess what, is also on its last map of the night. It is Panama and Honduras, who are currently tied, actually. Honduras took that first map. Panama fought right back, and now they're on Blizzard World to decide the series right here. Honestly, a really big one for both teams to get a win over on the day. It's massive for them both. It's very much the same kind of thing here, where, again, the value is Guatemala wins. They're one of only 2 undefeated teams after the day. If you have Panama win, they get that win on the day, and they keep their chances very much alive moving forward, maybe able to stem some momentum going into day 2. There's a lot of pressure on these 4 teams right here, because this is collectively the 4 teams that, again, being more on the honest side, a lot of teams were putting a lot lower. So it's important to see what they can do against each other, and the ones that come out on top, we'll have to see how the momentum kind of carries them into that second day. Because, again, anything can happen when you have momentum and confidence on your side.
Yeah, and Guatemala, I thought before that last map right there was really setting themselves up as to be maybe a team that was going to shock, I think, the Americas Conference here. I really did. But that last map showed them that this team is, in fact, human. It is. You can get away with some crazy comps, some non-meta comps, and really have it work, but it got shut down there. And I think Ecuador was finally able to figure it out. And now what are they going to do? Where are they going to bring us? Because they have the option here. I feel like, I honestly feel like I'm going to guess it's Atlas again. Again, you have to remember how they played that Rhine last time against Panama. I think you bring us to Atlas, and if you're not going to ban out the Echo, you're banning out a tank to help out to make sure that the Rhine doesn't get banned out.
Yeah, 100%. You want to protect that Rhine as best as you possibly can right here. Because you have first ban, you can 100% do that. Obviously, you would love to go for certain cases right here, but it feels like just protecting your Rhine is going to be the best case scenario. The problem is, in that instance, you're also going to have to accept the reality that you're probably going to get that Echo banned out. Maybe they go the route to Lucio, but I really think that I agree with you that the Echo is probably going to be the one to go. But again, it's a scenario we'll have to see down the line. It's going to be really fascinating to see what the result's going to be. And no matter what it is, it's a big boom for both teams, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I think honestly, no matter who wins this one here, even the team that loses, I feel like they can really hang their heads high at ending night one, and knowing that they were able to show off a really good performance in this final series, no matter what. Guatemala, I think, would be a little bit. Actually, I think you would have to say Ecuador probably not necessarily still feel best about it because it would be 0-2, but still, I think they found something that is working for them. I think they're going to be able to carry it over into tomorrow because, well, they still do have a couple games tomorrow, 3 games, I believe. 3 games for both these teams, I think, over the next 2 days. But still, I think right now you're seeing really good performances out of everyone. But I mean, eventually we'll be heading into our final map of the night, and it will probably end up being the final map overall for the Americas, because like you said, the other series is already in their 3rd and final map of the night. And like you said, it is Blizzard World. And honestly, it looks like Honduras was able to stop Panama there. I'm remembering the teams right.
I believe you are remembering them correctly, I will say.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, look at you. Look at memory going on. But it will be fascinating to see. Because it's another instance where I'll talk a little bit about tomorrow, just very briefly since we're waiting on this anyway, is a lot of these teams are playing in the initial matches for tomorrow. We have Ecuador taking on Panama, Guatemala taking on Honduras. Makes things really interesting moving forward and seeing how these teams are going to be able to compete against each other. It's going to be very exciting on that opening one. Again, another instance where one of these teams that gets momentum at the end of the day could carry it on directly into tomorrow, for all we know. Again, teams deal with momentum and confidence differently, but to be fair, if you end up being Guatemala and you're undefeated, there is no reason not to have confidence.
Yeah, ride the confidence as much as you possibly can until the wheels or the wheels fall off the wagon. Basically, I think that's gonna be the for a lot of these teams. I mean, right now you already look at Chile, who's undefeated. Their matchups tomorrow are against this Guatemalan team that actually get started with their first one. Looks like though, yeah, we will be heading into our 3rd map here right now, and I was right with it. And again, this has to be orange. They go straight to the frog.
I did confirm earlier. It is not. I did confirm. Just not the case.
So I'm going to stop doing it. They're just going to the annals. But Atlas will be our 3rd and final map of the night here. And like I said, I felt like this was going to be the case, especially since Glacier showed us a really good Rhine, one that I didn't think would work that well on it. But I think this is going to be a good opportunity for Glacier to bring back out the Rhine, get that same kind of value out. Vito back over on the Reaper. I would have to assume that as well. But I mean, right now you saw the best you found the best way to, I think, kind of shut down, or wow, I'm losing it here. For Ecuador, you saw the best performance coming out from all of them there, that last map. I think they're going to be able to carry that momentum going forward here now. Are they going to show us the last tank that we haven't seen yet? Are they actually going to do it?
It'd be so funny. We would complete the entire grouping, which, quick update really quick, we'll talk about this game. Honduras did take the 2-1 victory against Panama. Awesome for them right there. But please, Kirby, I know you heard us. Complete the circle. Finish the story. Go with the Orisa.
They don't need to.
Oh, let's go.
Again, they're already 2 minutes ahead of us. So, but oh my We have seen every tank here tonight. This is why you come to the Americas region, everyone, to see every tank that's available in the game to be played. And I think that's actually going to be a good matchup. I think Orisa is actually going to give this Ryan a little bit of a run for the money just by being able to really sustain a lot of damage and just be able to go head-to-head with it. And Rainy Day over on this Vendetta as well. But Richie, you need that performance from Richie, that Richie had back on map 1 here again on map 3.
Yeah, these two have kind of been the kind of respective stars right now when it comes to that DPS category. Throughout the day, have had really good instances, but when one gets taken down that early by the other, it does create a certain aura of things for that fight. So, Guatemala takes that first one away right here, and again, it just Glacier back at home with this Ryan.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to figure out some way to shut down this Ryan, especially on this map. Like I said, I did not think this Ryan would work well for Glacier last time against Panama. It worked out very well. Worked out very, very well. You need to find something that really disrupts it, and I think you just kind of have to avoid the Ryan. However, you see Gadigu and Marleo just kind of hanging around it, so it's hard to say, hey, we have to focus on something else because the majority of the team is right by Glacier.
Yeah, 100%. Chucking on forward with that pin is able to get rid of Rainy Day, and that's going to be another fight shut down as Kirby trying to get it alive, goes in deep there instead. I think maybe just preventing potential staggering and takes a quicker reset. That's my interpretation.
That has to be for a swap. They just decided that's not going to work out, so they just kind of commit themselves to just dying there, just going to get the quick regroup. And no, it's not. Kelly did, though. Or Kelly did. Yeah, that's going to be their touch here. And I imagine you're going to see them probably all go down through the lower part of it. But no, actually, Kelly did get be able to get the point for free because everyone's so far pushed up.
Yeah, that is a free flip ultimately, but is it going to be enough here because you've already cleared out the entire team?
Oh.
So now you flipped it, but now Kirby's going to die here, and now everyone's going to stay on point. They know what's coming next.
Kelly is still somewhere around here. They capped the point and then
no, they're outie. Yeah, they're outie.
Okay, they're outie 5,000. But I mean, look, the swaps already. Rainy Day swapping, Kirby swapping, so we saw the Orisa. We can complete the circle, but that's going to be it. The Wrecking Ball now here for Mr. Kirby, but 5 ultimates ready here now for Guatemala as here comes the Deadeye.
Yeah, hoping to find some value. Unlikely to get any, but again, it causes space. It gives you a little extra something to work with right here as Casino Rush going to be used here from Goody to try to make a little bit more space right now as, man, Emilio lucky to still be alive in this fight as Casino Rush to be thrown back by Zia to make a little bit more space, but still the Shatter has been a force to be reckoned with in previous times. Looking to make it so once more right here as Glacier doing their darndest trying to hunt somebody down to no success so far, but it's been Richie who's been the most successful so far, has already got rid of 2. You see Rainy Day running as far as they can go, but we're going to see the cap come through here again for Guatemala, and again, this Ryan comp that it feels so difficult to top.
Yeah, and for people who are asking about what bans are, we don't know necessarily what they are. We can always take guesses, but we just don't necessarily know here at the moment. But you have Rainy Day on this Echo. I thought that would be something that could be banned out by Guatemala, but they're here. Still, though, you need them to get going here because already almost 50% on this point for Guatemala. Shatter comes out, lands on the Curry, but that's honestly who you were looking for probably.
Yeah, that's all you need right there. Fight's over. But you can take another one, and you have some good ultimates going into this fight as somehow, some way, both live through that. And now you can go and you have the copy where you could potentially copy the Ryan and go all in, or the Reaper just to pressure out the Ryan. But the problem is, you still have to deal with a Deadeye here on the corner.
Richie, another Deadeye. Remember, they started this point off with a Deadeye.
Yeah, and Rainy
Death Blossom as well?
What? Yeah,
oh, okay.
Richie gets rid of 3, and Kirby could try to go touch point. I don't think it's going to do a whole lot here as first touch goes through. Pirali's going to get 1 more here, but gets pinned away, unfortunately. Cleaned up and only 1 point away from Guatemala potentially coming out of this day undefeated.
Yeah, and I honestly felt like it would have been a little bit more disrespectful there to leave Mr. Kirby alive, just to roll away in shame. But, I mean, if you're Ecuador going into this next fight, you have to win it. Look at the ultimates you have here. You're going to have 4 ultimates to nothing on the other side, but you cannot afford to lose anyone early, and a huge Suzu keeping Richie alive.
Yeah, but it will be temporary right now. opening the door here for Ecuador to pull this fight back around. That they should be able to do. Just Vito and Glacier still hanging around, and obviously want to try to reset here, but Vito's still kind of hanging in there, finding some bodies to take down, but eventually Glacier should end up falling over. Point will go through for Ecuador, who really take their first successful fight of this map so far.
Yeah, and again, it's just them taking the initiative. I think that's what they need to do here. Now, the Wrecking Ball's going to be able to cause a lot of chaos, and it should allow Kelly Dud and Rainy Day to really get going, which is what you need to have happen here. Because you remember last map, Kelly Dud, Rainy Day, Kirby, they were playing in sync. They were finding pick after pick after pick. It was working well for them. They haven't been able to do that so far here this map, but now you're slowly getting back to the spot where Guatemala has the ult advantage. Mine's coming out. I don't think Guatemala is going to be winning this one.
No, I don't think so either. There, obviously, you're able to find some cleanup, hopefully, as Marlo, yeah, just going to be just taken out right there. But Glacier's still hanging around, by the way. Got rid of 2. Big slam onto the ball. Dax, you need to stop talking. I think that's the reality we've learned right here, as the Reinhardt knows all, sees all, and is going to clear their 4th one of the fight.
Unfortunate for you, it's kind of my job to talk, but unfortunately for Ecuador, they probably would like it if I duct taped my mouth shut here right now. But I mean, Guatemala just finds ways to win fights sometimes. That's been the most impressive thing I've really seen from them. Glacier on this Rhine is just really, really impressive. But still, you're coming to this next fight. If you're Ecuador, you have Kitsu, you have Duplicate. Rainy Day, the duplicates have been very well in the past, but you have Richie getting set up for the Deadeye. Nice flashbang. Did they recognize I hit them?
I do not know, but they're chasing somebody down, and they will get Emilio. And now, this is potentially the beginning of the end. You are too deep into this one to reset, but actually, they will kind of force a quick one right there, as Rainy Day has a copy on the court. Glacier somehow goes down, but Rainy Day gets caught out. The only ult's available, and now we're going to be entering potential desperation territory.
And Kirby just kind of needs to play their life here at the moment. They are the touch. They are the only player here. Kelly going to be able to find one. That actually Kelly will find a touch, but they're going to immediately be taken out by Richie here. More people coming in, but now every ultimate being thrown out on the field.
Yeah, it's all you've got left in the kitchen sink. Richie is still clearing out bodies, though. Eventually, let's go down. It is going to be the copy Ryan to try to find some cess, but it will not find any for now. Fire strike down in the air, by the way. Glacier, a monster on the Rhine. And now it is just Kirby touching for as long as possible, as Vito is going to push everybody back, is going to send Guatemala into an undefeated day 1.
What a day for Guatemala. Again, I said this a lot, maybe too many times. We didn't know anything about this team coming into the day. We went into that series against Panama late. They're already down a map saying, okay, let's figure out what we can about this team before our last series of the night. And man, does this team impress us, Hunter. I mean, you still had Ecuador, who had their moments. You go back and look at last map, able to really put Guatemala on the ropes, really put them in spots where they just lost it. And we talked about it. They looked lost on Watch Point Gibraltar, especially when they went up against Panama. They were anything but lost on that map. Then you come right back over to Atlas, a map that only they seem to like to play, and they like to play the Rhine. It's going to be very difficult, I think, to really ban out the Rhine going into that map, especially because you're probably going to be having Guatemala pick it every time, and they're going to have first ban as well. I would not be surprised if the tank that was banned out was probably something just like Zarya or Diva, just something to make sure that the Rhine was safe there from Guatemala. But an impressive night for them, 2-0. Only one other team can say that, and that's Chile.
Yeah, and again, that is massive moving forward. Obviously, I'm going to post a thing about standings here in a little bit. I'm sure someone else will also do so. But that is amazing, because there are definitely some big instances to take away from today in what teams were able to do. And obviously, you have to feel really confident about the Guatemala squad. In your own right, to be fair, even though it's not the best of days for Ecuador, again, it's another fight back from this region that maybe some people didn't have super highly going into today, but again, took a decent fight to Peru, came out there on Gibraltar and just made their own style work. It is really nice to see, and maybe if you can refine that, you can start making something happen going into tomorrow's games. But remember, they do have one of those opening games against Honduras, so it'll be really fascinating to see what kind of happens as a result.
Yeah, I honestly think you could see Guatemala end tomorrow. I could say maybe 4-1, maybe 5-1 if I think they play. No, 4-1. I think 4-1. I think they're gonna give Peru a little bit of a run for the money. Argentina, I think they're gonna be giving a good showing too. But Argentina tomorrow has a really tough slate of games when you look at it overall.
It's a really tough slate of games. Let's keep that very clear in this instance. It's gonna be very difficult moving forward. But to be
They're
fair,
playing their gauntlet tomorrow. Let's just put it like that. Argentina is playing their gauntlet tomorrow.
yeah, that is going to be a rough one right there. 2 instances of back-to-back games. They get a little bit of breather room between them, but still, God, that's going to be insane for them.
4 games.
But yeah, 4 games. That's insane. Oh, I'm not envious of their position right there. But to be fair, we'll see how they deal with it compared to some of these other teams. But I mean, Dexes, that's like the last game that's going on for the evening. Just kind of your general takeaways about maybe what what you're happy happened today, or maybe what you didn't expect happened today.
Well, Guatemala. Let's just start out with them. That's the unexpected. Again, we talked about it going into our second series of the night where we covered our third series of the night where we covered Ecuador and Peru, because we haven't seen Ecuador that often. So it was the great unknown, and we did get some good performances. Rainy Day, I think, was still a really good standout, but we saw a lot more in that second game as well during against Guatemala, where Ecuador started to show a little bit more of their play style and a little bit more of how the team plays when they're playing very, very well. When they are on it, they are on it. This looks like a team that really lives and dies by how confident their players are playing, and I think that is a really good thing. But you need to be able to able to bounce back. And that's one thing that when they went down, especially when you look at the first map of the series against Ecuador and the second and the third map of the series against Ecuador, they didn't bounce back very well. This is something that could definitely still be fixed. And they have a good chance to do it against Panama tomorrow. Another team that, did Panama win against Honduras, or was it Honduras?
Honduras took that 2-1.
Yeah, so you're going up. That honestly, that Ecuador-Panama game is going to be very important, because I think both me and you were probably saying of somewhere around 2-3 losses is gonna be in that fighting contention for that third spot. So one of those teams is gonna get a huge win tomorrow, while the other one's gonna basically putting their backs against the wall throughout the rest of their run. But Guatemala, I think, was a big surprise for us. I think a lot of people will kind of be surprised by Chile going 2-0 tonight, while again, I'm not going to say anything about it. They looked very, very strong in their series here tonight. Peru almost had them on the ropes, but Chile was able to come back in Runasapi to force a map 3, and they just took map 3 away from Peru very quickly. Costa Rica as well. Again, a very close series against Peru, but they end up losing that one in a 2-0 sweep, or losing that one 0-2. They're able to bounce back, though. I think that's what you're going to see from a lot of these teams that we expect to be fighting for those top 3 qualifier spots, is that ability to bounce back, and Costa Rica was able to do that tonight. Same thing with Peru. They were able to do that tonight as well. And Honduras, really. Honduras, again, I said a little bit of a sleeper team. They have the talent there. Maybe just not enough people know about them. I think if they're able to piece together a couple wins here, especially if they're able to beat Guatemala in the first game tomorrow, that would be a huge thing for them.
No, it'd be absolutely massive for them. And this is a really good instance of, again, there's a amount of times I've reiterated this point, and I'm going to reiterate it here. And I'm going to say it. I'll pull up the mic real close for this one, Dex. Watch South American and Latin American Overwatch. If you like today, you're going to love the year coming up here. Everything with Face League, everything with the circuit we have coming up with Grupo Senju, that is going to be so amazing going forward. So if you enjoyed what's going on here today, obviously there's more throughout the entire weekend, but this is just the beginning of the year for these amazing players, countries, teams, everything. And I know we are so deeply excited for what's going to come next for them all.
Yeah, and again, everything starts back up tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST, 1 Central, noon Mountain, and 11 West Coast time. So a lot of opportunities to see, and it runs for 6 hours tomorrow. A lot of games going to be played. 12 games, actually, my bad. 14 games are going to be played tomorrow. Both tomorrow and Sunday, 14 games. It's going to be very, very fast paced. We're going to see a lot of series go the distance, I imagine. There are a couple of heavy hitter games tomorrow as well. I'm looking at the battle at our 3 o'clock hour of Costa Rica and Puerto Rico. 4 o'clock, you have Argentina and Puerto Rico and Costa Rica, my bad, and Chile, wait, Chile and Puerto Rico, my bad, Argentina and Costa Rica. You have a lot of good games in the middle of the day that you're not going to want to miss.
Yeah, no, 100%. We are so extremely excited for what's going to come further down the line. And obviously, with that being the case, obviously, with what goes on for the rest of the weekend. So obviously, again, gonna be at it all day tomorrow. Dex, I know you'll probably be there for more of the latter half of it, but I have some amazing people that are gonna help cover those initial matchups as well. It's going to be very exciting. And Dex is gonna get like Discord message from me every like 15 minutes, and it's like, oh my god, look what they did! Incredible. Look, I can't hide my excitement. All right, listen.
Yeah,
I got
no,
my
I can't
ADHD. If I get happy, I'm just gonna be happy. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah. But again, a really good night, I think, for a lot of these teams. I think there will be some that kind of hang their head just because they don't have the performance or the results that they were looking for. But I think they're going to be able to bounce back tomorrow. I think that's going to be a really important thing here, especially with, like I said, Ecuador and Panama. Both those teams 0-2. Both of them really desperately need a win, and that is a 2 o'clock game. That's going to be one you do not want to miss. And I imagine there's going to be a slew of people just streaming all the games here across the conference cups here in America and in Asia, as well as those ones start here relatively soon.
Yeah, 100%. It is going to be really fantastic to see a little bit more down the line. But obviously, with that being the case, obviously, that's all there is left to cover today. I'll probably post some stuff afterwards as well, helping out with like the standings and stuff, and maybe some overall feelings on day one. But to sum it up right here, it is a phenomenal day one. It is a big day for Latin America and South America and Overwatch. Everyone should be extremely proud, and I'm happy for everyone that came out and watched it. I don't care if you watched it here. I don't care where you watched it at. The fact that you watched it at all makes me a very happy human being. So everybody, thank you very much for joining us here today. It has been an absolute honor and a privilege, but the job is not done yet. 2 more days of action to go, and we're so excited for it. So for everybody, we hope to catch you tomorrow for some more Overwatch World Cup action. Have yourselves a fantastic night. Peace.